thank you for joining us. We do expect some more joining us because this is not just a training, but workshop style. We are working on your social media, creating the posts and the ideas, the brainstorming around them. So we're glad that you're here live with us. And for those of you watching the recording, this is still phenomenal to go through. Take the time to go through the recording as if you were live with us. So we'll get started in another moment's time. Please have yourselves on gallery view. We do also prefer you to be on camera because we would like to get to know you and support you in your business as well, so that Jennifer and I both know what type of business you are in, so that when we're creating things in the Trello, that they will be very much themed to what you're looking to achieve out of your social media. We will have the chat open as well. If you have any questions while she is training, you can either wait till she allows you to unmute and ask your question, or of course you could put it into the chat and I will monitor it as well.
Great.
Yeah, I'm here to help. I'm here to serve. We're good.
So, do we want to get going or do we want to wait? Okay.
I'm going to start because we'll go through the opening slides and intros in the meantime. So thank you for that. So then with that, we will go into presentation mode and set us up for today. So welcome again. This is part of Selling on the Spot Marketing, one of the many amazing divisions under the Selling on the Spot brand. You are here today at Master Your Marketing for the next quarter in just 3 hours. I am thrilled with how much we're going to achieve in the next 3 hours together. We are here, of course, with the Jennifer Elia, who I will introduce properly in a few more minutes' time. First, I would like to, again, welcome you here. I am Jane Warr, also known as Trainer Jane, the founder and CEO of Selling on the Spot, Inc. I am known under the brands of Trainer Jane, Selling on the Spot, and Selling on the Spot Marketplace, which is what started all of this 6 years ago. For those of you unfamiliar with the Selling on the Spot brand, we proudly now have 10 divisions and more parts to the brand as well. So if you'd like to know more about all the many ways that we can help you build your business, whether you are an entrepreneur, a business owner, or a sales professional, whether you are new to business or an expert in sales, we have these amazing 10 divisions to serve you. Selling on the Spot Marketplace is what started it all. They are our fun and profitable virtual events where you are selling any product, any service, you're from any business type, from anywhere around the world. As long as the time of day on Zoom serves you to join us, then please do so. We also have Selling on the Spot Masterclass, which is a weekly Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard, when I help you with your visual, verbal, and vocal presentations and more. Selling on the Spot Marketing, of which today is one of our amazing presentations under that brand, where I bring in experts like Jennifer to teach you something that I don't train on. And so I'm thrilled that you're here. Selling on the Spot Mastery is our 3-tiered training system. Selling on the Spot Media Training, which is a joint venture with the Forbes Riley on how to pitch on camera. Selling on the Spot Academy is where we house the past recordings for those of you that would like to see what else we've had in the past to help you grow your business. Selling on the Spot Systems is our 12-month roadmap to help you grow your business, to systematize. And we even have Selling on the Spot Money, financial training for you, Selling on the Spot Mindset, personal and professional training for you, and Selling on the Spot resources, where we house everything else. So please know that we proudly offer you no cost, low cost, and discounted offers under the Selling on the Spot brand. And with presenters like today's presentation with Jennifer, we also bring you exclusive pricing and exclusive benefits from coming to these events. So thank you to all of you for joining us. Now, in a moment, I'm going to come back to seeing all of you and give you a moment. For those of you that had the benefit of joining us here live, you have the opportunity to introduce yourself. We do ask that you just tell us your name and this one sentence. Who is the people group that you serve? What problem are you helping them with? What is your solution, and how do you provide that solution to them? So please keep it short and sweet. And for those of you that are not on camera, I'm hoping you choose to join us on camera or off camera, but at least to unmute to introduce yourself. Because again, Jennifer and I would also like to be able to cater this presentation to you. So we'd like to know what type of business you are in. So with that, then Sharon, we'll go to you first, please.
Okay, I'm Sharon Mefford, and green thumb or not, I assist you without the dirt or weeding of an outdoor garden to grow many fruits, vegetables, and herbs using a unique space-saving vertical garden.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And I love your enthusiasm today. Awesome, awesome. Now I know we have Charlene, Melissa, Sherry, and Kim. If you are comfortable introducing yourself on or off camera, please go ahead. Sherry, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Sherry Leopold here. Excuse me. I help you stand up and stand out as the unrepeatable miracle that you are, helping you upgrade your self-love language so that other people will fall in love with you.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Kim, go ahead. Oop, you're muted though.
There we go. Hi, I'm Kim. I work with Light Switch Media, and we help businesses get found online. So all your digital needs to for people to find you, we're your contact.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And for those of you that don't know, Selling on the Spot uses Light Switch Media as our tech team. So thank you for that, Kim. And Melissa, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, nice to meet you all. I work with Success Left a Clue, and we help trainers and corporate workers with self-development through a step-by-step process on how they can be an authority in their field.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And Charlene, are you with us?
She put in the chat that her computer isn't, she can't,
Okay.
like you can't see or hear her. But
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Okay. So with that, then I do want to move forward and introduce Jennifer to you. So whether you already know Jennifer Elia or not, please in a moment give her a warm welcome, because she is a phenomenal trainer. She is a social media strategist. She has so much information that she's going to be sharing with all of you. She is a resource for me as well. And she is the chairman and CEO of Secret to Visibility Online. Please be ready for an amazing workshop. We're going to get an awful lot done, an awful lot achieved in 3 hours. I'm thrilled to partner with her. Thank you so much again, Jennifer, for co-presenting with me again today. Please go ahead and introduce yourself even more so to everybody watching.
And so I am Jennifer Elia of Secret to Visibility Online. I help you cut through the noise now and get visible without the tricks and hacks that just give you vanity numbers that don't convert or stop working when the algorithm changes, but through proven, scalable, sustainable systems and techniques that educate your audience in what you have, how to get it, why they need in their life, through value-rich content that sets you up as an expert in your field. So today I saw that Tanya jumped in. Do we want to let her introduce herself and then I'll go into the rest of the presentation? Or
apparently she's having camera issues as well, but if you want to unmute Tanya and introduce yourself, if that's possible, go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Tanya Y. Pritchett, and I am a health and wellness coach. I help busy women over 35 to lose weight and have more energy for their family and their career.
Wonderful. Thank you.
okay, so a little bit about where this whole system came from that I'm going to introduce you to. This, what I'm giving you today, is a scaled down version, if you want to say, of my proprietary system, which is what to post on social media, workspace system. I began as a ghostwriter and blogger about 13 years ago, and opened up the whole world to freelance. I'd always wanted to write, research, and work from home, and everybody told me it didn't exist, but it does. So in the process, because I am a lifelong learner and a problem solver, I dove into really understanding how marketing works, how online business works, and how to get the most out of what you are putting out there. And so all of that I teach, I have used myself, I've used with multiple clients over the years. And at some point in 2020, I sat down and made it into a system that then people can use for their own social media. So this system isn't just like I said, I don't do tricks and hacks. It's not something that's going to promise to get you 1,000 followers in 48 hours or, get 25 likes in the first 10 seconds of your post. Those are all vanity numbers. It's great to have more views. It's great to have more followers. But at the end of the day, if those people aren't opting into what you're offering, if they aren't funneling off of that platform and into your calendar or your sales funnel, then you haven't really accomplished anything online. So all of us know that we should be on social media. We probably have ideas of what platforms we should be on, but very few of us know why we're there. And even less people know what to do when they get there. And so this is where all the frustration comes in. And people think, I just need to hire a social media manager. And so for a long time, I was that social media manager. And I would come in and realize that yes, they needed help with their posts and their scheduling and their strategy. But the biggest problem was that they didn't really know how to use the platform and how to turn that posting into actual sales and marketing. Because many of the Instagram gurus or the experts out there that are teaching these tricks and hacks, they're very good on that platform. They've built up a lot of followers, they have a lot of engagement. However, they don't understand the marketing end of it. And so you can be an influencer on Instagram and have millions of followers and never sell anything. But what you want is, you don't want millions of followers, you want a good following that then buys what you are offering. So that's what we're going to go through today. Now, this is a work session, as Jane pointed out. There's a lot of information that I'm going to share. So this is why I always videotape any trainings that I do, because I don't want you to be caught up in trying to take notes. I want you to focus and get to actually work through this and talk through it together. And then you can always watch the recording if you want to go back and see how to do it. The first thing that I'm going to do, though, is I don't know, and I should have told everybody this ahead of time, but if you don't have a Trello account, we are going to be using a Trello board that I created, that is a board that I created just for selling on Spot Marketplace in order to create this 3 months of content. And also at the end, there's a bonus that I threw in about creating your offer for selling on the spot to use in the events and in the Facebook group. So if you have a Trello account, which is just Trello.com, you only need the free account. I have used this for probably about 10 years with many clients for many different projects, and I've never paid for it. So they're going to offer you the free one, just skip it. Don't take it. I mean, they're going to offer you the paid one. But if you could go to this board, now it's set to public. What you need to do is make a copy of it. I'm going to just give you a couple of minutes. If anybody has questions about this, this would be the time to ask. But this is integral for doing the workshop. So if we could just take a couple of minutes and make sure everybody has that. Is there anybody who doesn't have Trello or doesn't know how to get on there?
Or if you can also just give the verbal as to how to save it from the
Okay,
link
how to
that you
make a
shared with
copy.
us.
So yes, so let me go through and show you. I'm going to share my screen. So sometimes this shows up a little bit differently, but this is how it should show up. If it doesn't show up this way, just let me know. Sometimes it depends on when you join Trello, what setup you have. But if you look in this corner, it has my initials. If you click on that, I believe it's under settings. Nope, that wasn't it. They moved it. Hold on a second. They keep moving things on me. I apologize. Okay, so see, I think that it's here now. Let me just double check. Okay, it should be here, I hope. Where is it? Okay, here it is. So let me go back. Like I said, every time I come on here, they move something. And I use this all the time and they still move things on me. So if you see this show menu, and then you go down to where it says more, and then it says copy board. There might be a slightly different way that it's saying it, but there should be somewhere where you can copy the board. When you click that, it's going to let you rename it and it will add it to your account. You have to do that because if you can see all these people up here, these are people that did it last time for selling on the spot marketplace. And so if they went in and add their stuff to this board, then it would change it for everybody. And then I can't show you the other board or give you the original. So just make sure that you make a copy. So does everybody have a copy now? If you don't, then I guess just drop it in the chat or unmute and let me know if you're having problems with that. I'm going to just.
Even my screen looked different than yours, just so you know. Copy board isn't an option I've even found yet on my version.
Oh,
Right, I haven't either. I'm still
okay.
searching.
Now I already have an account, so I'm going to try just
Okay.
going in that way.
Okay. Yes. I think that because I got Trello when it like first came out, and they have updated it, but I think sometimes the newer versions are still slightly different than what I have. So if you cannot get it, then if you put your email in the chat, then I can invite you to this board and then you can copy it. But I never know if someone's going to actually have that copy feature or not. Last time a lot of people did, but sometimes I've done workshops.
Last time it was easier, yes.
Yeah. And they aren't there. So before we go on, let me see who is it. Okay, Sharon. Let me just invite you. Sometimes I do workshops and people go to get the board because a lot of my workshops I use boards and it just works. And then there's some times where nobody's able to copy the board and I have to invite all of them. So is everybody ready now though to get going? Okay, I can't see you, but I guess put in the chat. If you need something, put in the chat because I can't see anyone while I'm doing this. Okay, so everybody's saying, I see some yeses. Okay, great. So getting back to what platform to be on. There's so many platforms and more and more and more are being added every day. For a while, it was like, Facebook, Twitter, and then YouTube came along. But now there's so many. And every time a new one comes out or someone gets really excited about a platform, right? They say, this is the platform you have to be on. None of the rest of them are going to work for you, right? Well, I'm here to challenge that. Every platform has its advantages and its disadvantages. Any platform can work for you if you know how to use it. But what I would say is that find the platform that A, you're going to use, and B, has your people. Okay, so TikTok I know is exploding. And one of my best friends is a video marketing expert. Okay, so we became friends before that, but she's a video marketing expert and I do digital marketing. And so we partner together sometimes. But she's always telling me, you need to be on TikTok, you need to be on TikTok. And it just isn't something that I know I'm going to follow through with because she puts up like 4 TikTok videos a day. And in my mind, that is just like, I don't know, 4 a day, like to come up with something. It's just the way her brain works compared to mine. So I know that I could sign up for TikTok, that I can learn all the ways that it works, that there are people there that I could serve. But if I'm not going to follow through on it and be consistent, then it's never going to work for me. So if you do not want to do TikTok videos, there is that doing the hard thing. But if you know that it's just not in your personality, or it's just going to be such a struggle that you're not going to get it up consistently, then I wouldn't recommend you go there. If you want to learn how to do TikTok, if you are interested in trying it out, you don't have to be perfect. Okay, done is better than perfect. Then try it out. So find a platform that works for you and works for your people. On the converse, if you have a platform that you really, really like, and you are very adept at using it, but you aren't finding the people that you need to target there, then you might need to find a different platform. So those are just the 2 things to think about. And what I have here is tips for every platform. So what I did was I went out, some of these platforms, I know about all of them. I've dabbled in every single one of them, but most of them I'm not very, very active on. So what I did was I went out and found like the best tips by the best expert and put them all in one place. So if you're looking for new platforms, or if you want to understand your platform better, then this is for you. So just so you know, they are out there. They aren't my tips necessarily, but I did vet them that they are good. So when we are doing social media, the one thing that I think most people forget to ask themselves, and I can say that I was there because I started, green. I started as a blogger and a writer, and I had to learn all of this. I bootstrapped all the way up. Is that what is the goal for your business? And sometimes when I bring this up in either one-on-one sessions or in workshops, people think, I just want my Facebook to work. Like, what does this have to do with my overall goal of my business? And I will tell you that has everything to do with your overall goal of your business. If you don't know what your overall goal is, and you're not creating content and showing up in a way that drives people to that, then you're just wasting time. No matter how beautiful your photos are on Instagram, no matter how entertaining your videos are on TikTok or YouTube, you're just not going to get the results that you want. And if you do get results, you're still not going to get the results that you could be getting. So what I'd like everyone to do, and if you need to talk about this, I'd like everybody to share like one of these. I have 3 different things in this list. If you see this list here where it says goals, the main goal for your business. So the main goal for your business is always getting people to that top tier, right? We all have a top tier. We all have that one thing that we'd love a million people to opt into, right? And it's never that base product or the opt-in. What is it that you want, the top of that pyramid, that you want people to do in your business? Now, seasonal goals are different. So perhaps you're in a season where you want to get more people on your email list, or you're in a season where this is where I launch, every spring I launch my live event. And so I want to drive people there. Or it could be that you are refining what you're doing. So in 2022, I am focusing on LinkedIn. Not that I won't help people on other platforms, but that's my main focus. So that's where I am driving traffic to and from. So that's a seasonal goal. It's still a big goal that you need to work on, and your content needs to reflect it, but it's something that could change next month, next year, whatever. And then your product suite and value ladder, like know where you're leading people. Now, I don't have time to go through and coach you through building that, but that is one of the biggest things that you need to do, is know the goals of that you want to accomplish and where are you taking them. So they find you on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Clubhouse. What do you want them to do next? What is the upsell from that? And what's the ultimate place where you need to be? The ladders don't have to have 15 different steps. It could just be a freebie, a low ticket, a high ticket. So, the intro product, and then the high ticket, the big product that you want them to buy. But we're going to just take 5 minutes. It's 12:25 on Central Time, just so you know. Take 5 minutes and think about these. And I'd like each person to just share either a goal or what that high ticket offer is that you're driving people towards, just so you have that in your brain as we're working through this. And you can go and add that too. If you haven't been on Trello, there's places to make comments. You can put that in your comment or in your description, and then that information is saved there and you can go back and reference it whenever you want. So if you want to drop in the chat or you want to unmute, either one of them is.
Jennifer, did you say to put that in the goals in your Trello? Is that where you said to put that?
Yes. So the main goal is like what the ultimate thing you want people to do. The seasonal goal is what you're focusing on now. And then your product suite, I mean, that's something that you can build out later. But if you even just want to put down like 3 quick points, like this is what I want people to do, you can always go back and do that later. Okay. But if someone would like to share a goal or a product that they're driving towards with the audience while you're filling that in. I can't see you, so you're probably just going to have to sing out.
At any time, if any of you have a question or want to comment, then yes, please just go ahead and unmute. You don't have to raise your hand.
Because I can't see you raising your hand anymore.
Yes. And even I'm doing the work, which means I'm monitoring the screen most of the time, but sometimes completing my board as well.
Yes.
So, I'll start. This is Tanya.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So my main goal is to enroll people in my 6-month coaching program, private clients, one-on-one coaching.
Okay, good, great. I see that there's a comment in the chat. Kim said, get found online is a product we would like to promote. So is that your, I'm just gonna ask you, is that your seasonal goal? Like, is that what you're promoting right now? Or is that your main goal? Like, that's where you want everybody in a dream world. If you could get everybody there, is that where you want them to be?
I think for now, that's the sort of goal. That's sort of,
Okay.
I don't know if that's like the solid goal for the entire year, but for
Okay.
the first 3 months.
Okay.
or so.
Okay. Well, that's still good to know. Sometimes, you know, we have multiple goals going on. Sometimes we don't. So 2 more minutes. If anybody, if you filled in at least one of these, please fill in at least one, either your your seasonal goal, or your main goal, because you're going to need that going forward. So we have 2 minutes left. There's 8 of us here and 2 have shared. So if there's anybody else who is willing to tell us, either put in the chat or unmute and tell us.
And sorry, just to confirm, then you're looking for the main goal is the top tier, not your
Yes.
lowest, right?
Yes.
Okay, because for example, with selling on the spot, our lowest ticket item or the entry point for us is generally the selling on the spot marketplace for somebody to come as a vendor. But for me as the CEO, the main goal for the business is to serve more people by bringing in more licensees.
Yes.
And then opening in more regions.
Yes. So you always want to have that top goal in mind, because in reality, even though you want to bring in more people at the bottom, the reason why you want to bring them in at the bottom is so you can get more people to the top. So you always want to be speaking to those people that will rise to the top as you're putting this out. So it's just a different way of looking at it. Oftentimes we just need to get a lot of followers. You know, I met with somebody and he's like, I just want 100,000 followers. And then I sat down and said, well, but what are you doing with these people? Like, once you get the 100,000 followers. And then he had a top goal, but he had nothing in between. So we did work it down, but knowing like, this is what I plan on doing when you get those followers will help as we're working through this, because you always want to be thinking at it from that perspective. So it's 12:30. I don't know.
Jennifer, is it possible? Do you have one in here that we could look at? I think I'm a little confused at what it's supposed to visually look like in those 3 steps.
Like your main goal and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can put mine in
Or
here.
make one up so I can see what it looks like. I don't know if I'm doing it right.
Okay. So let's say, let's take that client that I was talking about, that one of the 100,000 followers. So his main goal was that he's building a retreat center, and he wants people to join this elite mastermind that would go to this retreat center like quarterly, and then host leadership conferences among themselves to empower more people. He's in a direct sales business, but he's one of the top people in the world in it. So he has 150,000 people underneath him. So that's his main goal. Like, his main goal is he wants leaders to move up and then become a part of this elite mastermind that then hosts these retreats to empower people to sell more. So seasonal goal right now for him would be to get recognized as a trainer of leaders by building up his following on his social media. Does that make sense? So I don't know, like, I know that that's his goal of 100,000. I don't know that that's really what he needs, but
yeah, I meant, can you type it into the Trello board so I can see where things go so it looks like visually?
Okay. Oh, I understand. Okay. So, okay, I'm going to try to do this. So then I save it. and then it shows up that there's a note here. Okay, and then you can put this here. Get save.
I had to buy the upgraded. I already have too many boards in there.
Oh, no. Well, you might have ones that you can weed out, but
It's all right. I did it. It's only $60 a year. It's whatever.
yeah, okay. So then it shows you in here when you click on it, it has a description. Now for the activity, if you wanted, you could put in a checklist here. And then you can put down the steps that you would need to take to reach that goal.
Okay.
But all of this is in a card. Basically, this is a virtual like sticky notes. Like I have all my sticky notes on my, but it's virtual so that you can add it in. So these are all going to have notes. This way, you know that that's filled in. Does that answer?
So, and the way this is rolled out right here, essentially from the bottom to the top, the product suite and the value ladder should all roll up and point to the one at the top. Is that correct?
Yes. So,
Okay.
so your product suite is so you know what steps they're taking. But the top, your main goal is that top of that product suite.
Right. Okay. That's how I did it. I just want to make
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I am going to actually move this because it's in my way, if I can. Okay. All right. So now let's get into doing the posts. Okay. So what I promised was 3 months worth of content in 3 hours. Now you will probably not get these posts like completely finished and polished so you could put them all out, but you will know exactly what you are posting for the next 3 months. And have a framework to work off of. Now, often we sit down at the computer and it's like, it's Facebook time, or, oh, I got to put something on Instagram, or, oh, I better get to LinkedIn today, right? And then you think, what can I post? And sometimes you just post the first thing that pops into your mind. And sometimes you try to be strategic, but you really don't know what you're putting out there. And you think, I'm just tired of coming up with something new to post, right? Have we all been there? I can't see you, but I'm sure people are shaking their heads. Like, I just have nothing else to say, especially if you've been doing this for years. I have nothing else to say. Well, the thing is that you really need to be saying the same things over and over again in a strategic way. And there are certain things that over the years of working with entrepreneurs behind their business, like building promotional for businesses, promotional campaigns, and also sitting down and auditing and assessing where people are how they're showing up and where they're showing up. There are certain things that people are missing. And the story posts are one of the biggest things that people are not sharing with their audiences. People buy from people they know, like, and trust, that have the solutions they need. They don't buy products. They don't buy services, right? We don't go out there and say, you know, I really want to spend $60 a year on Trello board. No, we buy it because we know what the Trello board can do and how it powers our business and that it solves that organizational and planning need. So to be able to connect with your audience, you have to be sharing your story. There are millions of people doing exactly what you're doing. I have a friend, Mike Verrett, on. He's active on LinkedIn, and he's always saying you can only be one of 3 things. You can be first, you can be best, or you can be different. And he says most of us will never be first because there isn't really much new under the sun. Being best is really, really hard in a saturated market. So your best proposition is to be different. Like, what makes you different? And people will connect with you. There are people who need digital marketers, that need health and wellness coaches, that need essential oil providers, that need whatever we're selling, but they will connect with people differently because of that relationship and that know, like, and trust. Okay. So there's other people doing it, but they're doing it differently. And this is where the story posts come in. Now, story posts don't mean that you share like every little detail of your life, right? I think those Facebook days are over, but I think we can all remember when it was like, hey, woke up, had a cup of coffee, heading out the door, just picked up my mail, and people would chronicle like every little detail of their life, like take pictures of all the food that they ate. And then they'd share things that like shouldn't have been public, but they felt like they needed to share everything that came into their head or everything that came into their life. So that is not story posts. Story posts should be shared, first of all, to build that know, like, trust factor, to set you up as an expert, and also to connect with people on a human level. So all of these stories that you are telling are told from the perspective, again, of those goals of like, what parts of my story can I share that will show people that I am the expert and that they can trust me? So there are things that happen in our life, like we've all been alive for tens of thousands of days, right? Or whatever. So there's so many things that happen, but 90% of that your audience doesn't need to know anything about. And also don't share things that are too raw. Like, it is good to share personal things. It is good to share, you know, updates that are going on. But if it's something that is too raw, that it's going to elicit too much emotion, or you're not ready to share it, then just don't share it. You don't need to tell people. I know I have one client who is like, I've gone through all these things. I went through, you know, a bad divorce and a custody battle and this and that and the other. And that's part of my story, but I don't really want to talk about it. And I said, all you can say is that this, you know, I was going through a very challenging relationship and a difficult time in my life, and it led me to this. So you don't need to tell them the nitty gritty of what's going on. So that's just something to keep in mind as we're going through this. I see that there's somebody in the chat. Okay, great. Nice. I like your goal, Sharon. Okay, so I'm going to go through these one at a time, and I'm going to, you can read the questions, obviously, but I'm going to explain to you what that question means. After working with tons of people, these are the 12 things that your audience needs to know, and you need to be recycling out there regularly for them to find out. So why do you do what you do? Now, all of us do what we do at some level to make money, but what is it that made you do this as opposed to like be a plumber, or be a CPA, or, you know, start a pet walking business? Like, there's a reason why you do exactly what you're doing. And that's what people need to know. Now, sometimes personal details come into this, like I had 3 little kids and we were going to lose our house and we needed to pay for it. That can be part of it if that's part of your brand story. But if that's the reality and you don't want to tell people that, then you don't have to. But there's something that happened in your life that made you decide to do this. So what I'd like you to do is I'm going to just give you like a minute and a half in between each of these. Put down at least a note in here so that you have that. That's the story that you're going to tell for that question. And then if you are willing, I mean, you should be willing to share it because it's going to go public, but if you can drop it in the chat or unmute and tell us why you do that very succinctly, like just one sentence, then please do that now. Okay, Sherry says, I want people to feel comfortable standing in their full power. That is great. So the question follow-up that I would say to that, I mean, that's why you do it, but is there something personal that you can share that makes you want to do that? Because like I said, all of us have a reason that we do what we do. So it doesn't have to be super personal, but is there something that you can share about yourself so that people can identify with you, that that's why you want to do what you do? Yes, I love that story about you, Sharon. So that's a perfect example of growing up. I could not have a garden. I love visiting my grandmother and help her with her garden. So since Sharon couldn't have a garden, and you know, then when she got older, she had a hard time gardening. She wants people to have that experience of having the garden instead of having to wait and having a reason that they can't have it. financial freedom that we have experienced after following a repeatable system. Okay, so, okay, Sherry, so you're got that is great. So you shared that about Melissa. I would say also, like, what is a personal, and you might have to think about this, like it might be something you need to come up, think about and come back to. And I'm going to go on to the next question, but something that personal, because you want, it's social media, right? You want to be social, you want to connect. And there's something psychological, like this is the reason why these are here. Okay. And I've studied all this and I've read the studies and I've experimented with it. There's something psychological that when someone is an expert or is successful in one area, right? And you present yourself. So either, you know, like when you first meet Jane and you're like, wow, she's a successful businesswoman and she runs this whole company. Or like you think of like Oprah Winfrey or whoever it is, right? And you think they had this massive success. And then the weight loss, you know, gurus come out and say, I can help you lose 150 pounds and it'll be easy. And you're sitting there thinking, well, it was easy for them, but it's not easy for me, right? They had connections, they had money, they had help, they had, you know, luck, they had whatever. They don't understand what I'm going through. And so when you just present that polished solution and you present yourself as this polished expert, then they can't relate to the fact that 9.9 times out of 10, that polished expert was exactly who the person is that they're serving. They've just figured out how to overcome it. And now they want to help other people do the same thing. So that's where these personal details come in, because people need to see that you're human and that you actually traveled a road to get where you are. Like you weren't just dropped there. There wasn't any magic wand. I don't know of any magic wands that are going around, but if you have one, you can share it with us and let us know. But there is a process, right, that you went through. So that's the important part of these questions. So that's just something to keep in mind, is to have that personal connect. Yes, so that's perfect, Tanya. You have like your reason and that personal connect. Okay, yes, Jane, it pained me how many business owners were not successful and even broke. Yes, so that's your reason. You saw that, you saw a need, you filled it, and you understood their pain because you were there. So how did you get started? This is very similar, okay? So like what led you to get started? There was some instance in your life, either it was an experience, it was a season that you went through, it was this great aha moment of, you know, oh, I just figured out how to fix this. And I know other people have that problem. So how did you get started in what you're doing? And again, some of these you may have to, like for these, especially the story questions, you may have to come back and really think about it. Because everybody has that story, but sometimes it's hard to dig back there and pull it out and put it into a way that you're going to share it with people. But this is so valuable, not just for social media, but also because if you know people who are famous, they have their signature talk, right? They show up, they tell you their story, and then you know their story, right? We all know Oprah Winfrey's story. Other people that we know, we all know their story, right? They always show up. And it's that when we meet them, we can tell them what their story is because they've told us so many times. So that signature story is something that everybody should do. You don't need to be a multimillionaire to have a signature story. That signature story is something that all of us should have, that we're sharing regularly on social media. But also if we're on a podcast, if we're at networking, if we're anywhere and people ask us a question, we can pull from that signature story and share it. And then we have consistency in the story. So it's a branding thing. So this will help you with that also. But consider, how did you get started? Now, how did you get started isn't I filed for a business license or, you know, I bought into a franchise. Like, how did you get started on wanting to do this? And I've talked a lot about that. So I'm going to go to the next one, but you guys keep thinking. The next one, I'm going to ask you all to unmute or put in the chat what you did. So what was your breakthrough moment? So your breakthrough moment is when you suddenly realized, and we all had this, and there's some people they're like, no, I just knew this. And that's completely false. Like none of us were born with all of this. It was all learning process, right? So your breakthrough moment was when you were doing something and then suddenly realized there's a better way to do this. Okay. And you pursued that and perfected it. And now you're sharing it with other people. So Sharon, if you don't mind, because I know your story, because you told us so many times. See, there you go. That you always wanted this garden. You finally got this garden. You poured in all your time and energy and your love and your sweat and your tears, right? And then the birds and the slugs and the chipmunks and whatever came in, ate everything that you grew. And you thought, I'm never going to like get to have my garden. And then you had this breakthrough moment, like, well, what if I can find a better way to do it, right? That is a self-contained system that lives in my house where the slugs and the squirrels can't find it, and is guaranteed to have success. And so now that you know that, now that you've experienced the longing for the garden, the actual gardening, the loss of the garden, and then, hey, there's this system that's like pretty much foolproof. And I know that I'll always have, fresh lettuce for lunch every day. That it was your breakthrough moment. So if everybody can just take 1 minute and think about like, what's that breakthrough moment when you finally figured out this is what I need to do, and put a note in there and then just tell us either in the chat or verbally what it was.
Well, I'll share mine, and I know many here will know mine too, was that after going to so many networking events and seeing that so many business owners were, excuse me, either unprepared or what some might even say unprofessional in regards to perhaps how they displayed their things at a vendor show or at a sponsored table. How unprepared they were with their verbal presentation and closing skills, because ultimately they were there to do business and yet they weren't asking for the sale and closing the sales. Then I looked at, okay, well, what's a better way? How do we create a networking event that also does business, but of course does it ethically, efficiently, and effectively? And so I knew I created something at the time, but at the time it was a one-time event. So I love that it changed because of demand. So demand helped prove it.
Thank you. Yes, that is perfect. So if you don't know yet, or you're still searching for that, like that's just a great example. And just put like I said, put a note in there and come back to it, because these are the hardest posts to write, because talking about ourselves, even though we'd like to talk about ourselves, presenting ourselves online is one of the hardest things to do. So what major hurdle have you overcome that makes you an expert in your niche? Okay, every expert has overcome a hurdle. Like I said, you're not just dropped in here as an expert. So when you look at Dave Ramsey, like why did Dave Ramsey build the empire that he did? Because he had all this money and he didn't manage it correctly. And then he went from having tons of money, being very comfortable, to being flat broke and not knowing how he was going to feed his family, right? So that was a hurdle he had to overcome. He had to figure out, how can I use my money the right way and get out of this hole? This way I can provide for my family. So think about what is, and all of us have gone through many hurdles. That's one thing, but what is one big hurdle that you have overcome that makes you an expert? So while you're thinking about that, and typing, if you want to share it in the chat, you can, but I'm going to share mine. So my big hurdle was that I had always wanted to be a writer and a researcher. I finally found jobs doing that, and people were hiring me, but I was seeing that they weren't getting the results that they wanted and that I wanted them to get. And it was because they were hiring me to like write a blog post. And I've literally had people say, I want you to write me a 1,300 word blog post so that I can rank on Google. And it doesn't work that way. You don't just put out one blog post and you rank. Or they were frustrated with social media, but it was because they didn't know who they were looking for, and them trying to help them. And meanwhile, they're pouring money and time and energy and all over the place, and none of it's producing results. And so the hurdle that I overcame was, how can all of this work together in less time, less money, less stress, and get results? So I became an expert because I didn't want to just be the best blogger or the best like social media manager. I wanted to know, like, how can I help these people actually build their businesses and get organic growth? So that is the hurt. And also that I saw so many people that were saying they were experts and really didn't know how to make it work. So anyway, so I hope that everybody has some notes on that. I'm going to go on to the next one because we have a lot to get through and I don't want to take too long. But and again, after this, like if someone wants to share, that would be great. What is a challenge that you turned into an opportunity? Again, we all meet resistance, we all meet challenges. The difference between the people that succeed and the people that don't is that when you hit that challenge, you can either give up or you can learn and you can turn into an opportunity. And so many people just give up. So all of you are here, you didn't give up. So what is that challenge that you turned into an opportunity? And I would say for Jane, it was, you had these great in-person events going, right? That's what you had built, and it was this great momentum, and then everything shut down. And now what do I do? Right? And you turned that into a massive opportunity that now is taking it around the world. So think about that. I'm going to just give you 1 minute. And then if someone would like to share their challenge that they turned into an opportunity in the chat or verbally.
And Jennifer, yes, thank you for that, because yeah, fortunately we were mostly prepared, but it's, yeah, seizing opportunity and mindset to stay calm during challenging times like a global pandemic.
Yeah.
And looking at what can you do, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, just about 30 more seconds if anybody else would like to share before we move on.
I can share for the challenge. I would say that I had a moment as I was launching out my Dream Big with Charity business that I was just another voice in a sea of voices. And it was, I don't know, confidence shaking, I guess, to say the least. And actually, a friend of mine kind of pointed out to me that my mission to serve and the way that I was serving couldn't be distributed in the exact same way because I am that unique person, which is actually interesting because it's actually might become an integral part of my platform. But what I did, because I was like determined to not stand in that space of like self-consciousness about that, was I created a summit with a few other people and did a live event and spoke on the topic. And I actually saw the response to what I shared. And I was like, that was affirmation for me. Like, so it was a challenge. And I thought, oh, you know, everybody's saying the same thing. But yet I saw in that room confirmation for me that the way I delivered it was worthy of pushing forward.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it was a challenge, but I pushed through, if that makes sense. That was a huge moment for me.
Great. Thank you for sharing. Is there anybody else quickly before we go on to the next one? Okay. So in that same mindset, what is a failure that led you to greater success? So what is something that you tried, and all of us have done this, right? Thomas Edison, actually, he didn't actually say this, his assistant did, but he's always attributed with saying, I didn't, fail 900, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I learned 999 ways not to make a light bulb. So we've all had failures. It's something that we tried and didn't work. So what is a failure that, in light of, now remember, we're thinking about our ideal client, we're thinking about, that pipeline. What's a failure that you experienced that your ideal client would identify with, that you, instead of giving up, you use to springboard you to success?
I'll share the one that popped into my mind. And actually Facebook with its timeline showing you years past reminded me the other day was because it was this time of year 6 years ago when I put together an entire workshop series where I was known as Trainer Jane in my neighborhood and already known as a speaker and trainer, but I wasn't producing in-person events and filling my own room. And I decided, I believe it was a series of 12 events. I'm go big or go home. And 12 events in the winter in Ontario, Canada, I put out there. And I think it was the third event in the series and nobody showed up. And so it was testing both the topics as well as knowing that the weather challenged me, in which case I learned that, wow, you have to do far more marketing to get enough people in the room. And it was the only one that had 0, but yeah, I'll never forget that one for sure. And again, that too actually springboarded me forward to how much more marketing does it take, how to effectively communicate and sell and present. Because again, I can't serve people and I can't do what I want to do till they're there in front of me.
Yes, great. So the next question is describe your first taste of success. So this could be success in like using the product that you use or using the method that you use, or it could be your first taste of success in your business, like actually helping people with that. So think about, and I'm going to go tell my sons to stop playing basketball right outside my door. Just for 30 seconds, think about like, what was that like the first time that you had that success?
And again, if you're ready to share, then go ahead and share, just unmute.
I'm back. I don't know what that was. Anyway, okay. So does anybody have something they want to share? If not, we're going to move on to the next question. Remember, please be taking notes in each of these, even if you can't write out the whole story. Put down some sort of note of what you want to write about, or even just things that you want to think about and decide what you want to do for that story. And the idea is that each of these would be a post on social media that you share with your audience. So what is something many people may not know about you that makes you unique? Now, this is something that doesn't have to do anything with what you offer or, ideal client. This is just humanizing you. And so it can have something to do with that, but it could just be something that's completely quirky and makes you unique. So for instance, one thing about me that is unique and quirky is that I can't write in any color other than black. Like I can't. If I have friends who have all those beautiful colored pencils and I think, oh, but I just can't do it, because if my page is in all different colors, I literally will go back and write over it with black. I always carry a black pen with me because it's just one of those things that if I write another color, it just bothers me. So that is my quirk that maybe someday I'll overcome, but at this point, I think it's not going anywhere. But it could be something unique about like where you live, how you were raised, like, if you were a digital nomad, like as a child, or being a digital nomad, that's something unique, or just a unique hobby that you have, anything that makes you unique that people can be like, oh, and they can connect with you on some level. So if anybody would like to share their crazy, unique hobbies, trends, or quirks.
Everyone, please share. Let's get to know each other better.
You can drop in the chat or you could unmute.
Oh, I'm hoping for shares.
Is there anybody?
I have to keep popping back and forth in all the windows. I actually grew up in a home with domestic violence, and it's actually probably until the last maybe 6 or 8 months, I've never said a word about that ever. So, and I realized actually like not speaking about that was actually probably a disservice to people understanding who I am and where I've come from and what I've grown through. So, kind of sharing that
Yeah.
truth, if you will, has been important for me. So
yes, and that's exactly what we're doing here. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because yes, and it shows you like what you overcame, and what made you into who you are. Anybody else? Oh, somebody's in the chat.
So this is Tanya. One of my quirky things, I guess, is is that I have a tendency to kind of connect songs to everything. So a lot of times, like growing up, me and my cousins, we actually used to make it a game where we would kind of talk in songs, and it was like they were my cousins, but through another unique story, they were like really more like my big brothers. And so we always used to kind of see how we could finish each other's sentences with songs. And I have a tendency to still do that, or just relate a song to something that somebody's talking about and start singing it.
Great. I love that you sing it too. So let me just, it just popped.
I love that. I'm going to do that with a voice note with you, Tanya, one of these days.
Okay, so Charlene says that she has 3 great grandsons. Wow. And she's written 4 bestsellers and 10 other books. That's amazing, Charlene. Hats off to you. Great job. Sherry says, I often make words up too and use them like they're real words. Yeah, I have a son that does that. Actually, no, my daughter, like she just will add like ABLE or ISM, or, like she just makes up words. And sometimes I'm like, is that a real word? She's like, I'm not really sure. And we go get a dictionary. I'm like, it doesn't sound real. Anyway, so that was great. I think those are great shares. And again, it doesn't have to do anything with what you're doing. It can, but it just helps to humanize you in a 2-dimensional interaction. So this one is big. What is your driving force and how do you want to change the world? Now, a lot of people will say, well, I'm just, right, ... I'm not changing the world. And we all think that the only people that can change the world are with a lot of power, a lot of money, or a really big platform. But every one of us is changing the world somehow. So if you look at, like, let's say a builder, right? And there are many, many builders out there. But if you have a builder that's committed to building well-insulated houses that don't waste energy and keep families warm and safe, then he's changing the world by producing these really good houses that then will serve generations. Okay. So I don't want you to think like too narrow. Whatever you're doing is changing the world for whoever you're serving, and then we'll have ripple effects. Okay. So what is your driving force? My driving force is that I don't want people to waste time, money, or energy on marketing that doesn't go anywhere, instead of getting to work with their ideal client and build up their business and build up their visibility. So that's my driving force. I've run into way too many people who say, I spent $30,000. Like, I'd love to hire you, but I just spent $30,000 in an ad campaign that didn't give me a single lead. And so that's my driving force, because nobody should be spending that much money investing in companies that haven't really taught them what they need and set them up with that funnel so that they can have success. It's just, that breaks my heart when I hear from, like, I have 3 kids to feed and I really need to do something, but I just mortgaged my house for $25,000 and didn't make any sales. Like that. That's horrible. So that is my driving force. So I can change the world by changing the business and the visibility for one person, and then they impact life. It impacts their family and their life, but it also impacts all the people that they serve. So take a minute and think about that, because you may never have thought of it that way, but what is it that changes that for you?
And Jennifer, I want to thank you for this, because for everybody that's here, I think this is really making you all think and again, really dig down and make you more passionate about what you do, as opposed to just everybody moving forward at all times, always being busy and always doing, but taking the time here to be introspective and then choose moving forward to put it out on social media. Because again, it's both being authentic and strategic, the same two words I use all the time, right? It's going to serve you because it's what fuels all of you.
Yes. So, and Sherry has in there, create a world in which the word suicide is obsolete because people have learned to love themselves at such a high, powerful level that suicide is no longer an option. Yes, that is great. And think of like every person that you do that for, that's changing the world for them, like, and for generations, right? I mean, that's like multi-generational impact right there. Hating to hear see people totally rely on what doctors say for their health, or believe that they can't live healthier, or that it's because they're getting older. Empowering people to have optimal health. Yes, that is awesome, because empowering people in any way is a massive benefit to everybody. And again, you know, I think, was it Sherry that said ripples of blessings? Okay, so does everybody have a comment in there? Yes, make growing healthy food easy and affordable year round. Definitely. I've been thinking about that as we're in the middle of winter in South Dakota and it's -10 degrees. And I love to garden. So I have a greenhouse, but the door blew open on our greenhouse while we were out for the day, and it was like 7 degrees outside. And so all my beautiful blossoms and fruit that I was like, yes, are gone. And I'm starting over in January. No. Yes. So anyway, I salvaged most of the plants, but I'm not harvesting anything. Okay, so piggybacking off of that, what will your legacy be? So this is like one step further. So what will your legacy be that you are leaving behind? That like that ripple effect, right? So my legacy is that I am helping businesses reach those people who are desperate for their services in an authentic way that they can trust, so that more people are benefiting from those services. So more people are, let's say Sharon, if she were my client, like are getting that garden and the fresh greens in the middle of the winter, or are getting that healthy way of living that's improving their health and impacting generations. So that will be my legacy, that even after I'm gone, the people that have built their businesses and are serving other people, first of all, they understand how marketing works, so they can teach other people, but their services will continue to impact people. So just think for a second, you know, if you were to fall out of the picture totally today, what will that legacy of what you did be that persists?
I'll share again. So as I said, for selling on the spot, for us to help more people globally means for us to have more licensees and continuing to grow, because it's through all the licensees events that we serve the business owners. So for me, my legacy is not just that business owners learn how to communicate and sell better, but thereby thrive, that their businesses grow, that sales and business is fun and easy, and to therefore go deeper. What really drives me is that therefore couples don't struggle, they don't argue about money, and that children don't grow up hearing we can't afford it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, great. Okay, so speaking of growing up, I'm moving along quickly because we're doing great sharing, but we need to keep moving. So growing up, so a growing up story. Again, this doesn't necessarily have to relate to what you do, but it's just a peek into who you were and something about your life. So think of something that you can share. And again, share something that you're not afraid to share, that's not going to be hurtful for you to share, that like you don't want to put anything out there that then you're like, I really don't want people to know that. Think of a story that you're okay with people knowing. So For instance, I can say growing up, I loved to write and my best ideas would come to me like in the middle of the night. But I shared a room with my sister who was 5 years younger than me. And so it seemed like she was always asleep when I wanted to be doing things. So I taught myself how to write in the dark on college ruled paper. This way I could stay up and write stories and make notes and everything, and I wouldn't bother anybody. So that's my growing up story. I didn't sleep much. I did that, and I would sneak down when I ran out of things to write about. I would sneak downstairs into our playroom where we had all our encyclopedias and just read the encyclopedia. So I had more material to write about the next day. Let's see. Okay, Charlene says that people understand that we are vibrational beings. Great. So what would the legacy be of that, Charlene? So people understand that, and then what would the impact be? Think 2 or 3 generations from now, how will that impact people? That's what would be the legacy. If you need to think about that a little bit more. So if you can think of something fun, if you want to put it in the chat, growing up, or the piggyback off of this is you're never going to believe this. So, there's some things that we've done that are like very unique, and we don't think that we're like that interesting, but we've done very unique and interesting things. So you're never going to believe this post would be like something that people probably know nothing about with you. And maybe it was something you did that was completely out of character, or a side of you that you don't get to share very often, or something you were involved with when you were young, like you were the lead as the Nutcracker, like 6 years in a row or whatever. But that's something to share. Like, you're never going to believe this. And then even if it isn't like, I've been to 160 countries or whatever, it doesn't have to be that big. It could be anything. And then, like I broke my leg when I was 10 and, couldn't be on the swing team or whatever. People are going to respond to that. And all of these elicit engagement and help you connect with your audience. So speaking of engagement, if anybody wants to quick pop anything into the chat about either one of those, but then we're going to, because if you see all these things we still have to go through, we're going to move on to engagement posts. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain these and go through each one of them. And then I'm going to give you a chunk of time to work through it. And during that time, if you have questions or if there's something that you want to talk out, then that's a great time to do it. But I'd like everybody to share at least one of these engagement posts that you came up with. Okay. So I don't see them in chat, so we'll keep going. So engagement posts are just that. They are posts that are there to create engagement and get people interested about what you're doing, okay? When you have a post that creates a lot of engagement, then people see all of your other posts, right? So these are meant to be posts that get people to talk a lot. And there's certain posts that are easy to get people to respond to. So conversation starter questions, okay? So this is like icebreaker type questions, right? I know someone who always, every once in a while would put up, quick, how many tabs do you have open on your computer? Or what's in your coffee mug this morning? Or show me what's on your feet right now, or anything like that, like a conversation starter question that people just have to respond to, right? Because you're not telling them anything, you're just asking a question and people are going to want to answer it. So anything that relates to what they're eating, what they're wearing, what they're doing, what they see, something that's like in the moment. Or what are you like? How are you celebrating Christmas? Where are you going for summer vacation? Like any of those things that people are going to, even if they're not going on a vacation, they're going to come in and say, oh, this year I'm not going on a vacation because of X, Y, and Z. If you had a magic wand, it's hard to ask people what their struggles are, right? We don't want to admit it. All of us have struggles. All of us have skeletons in our closet, but we don't necessarily want to tell people, especially as successful business people. And that's where that disconnect sometimes happens, that people know they need something and they know that you offer it, but them asking for it and identifying that that's what they need is hard. Okay, so magic wand questions, though, I was just talking about a magic wand. People always respond to that, because that isn't necessarily saying, oh, I can't do this, or I messed up here, or, this isn't working. It's like a fantasizing thing. And so they really get into it. So if you had a magic wand, and finish that sentence. So if you had a magic wand, what would how would you change the sales that you're making? If you had a magic wand, what would you be eating for lunch that you grew yourself, or whatever? Like, it, tie it to what you do. If you had a magic wand, how many people would you want on your calendar this week from your LinkedIn profile? Keep it that it's narrow enough that it focuses on what you do, but broad enough that people can like dream a little bit and answer it. So this, piggybacking off of that, if money were no object, okay, many times we get hung up on the money part of it. And money is important, right? Because you do need, like, you can't buy the $1 million mansion if you only have $5,000 in the bank, right? And you don't have a job. But a lot of times we get caught up on the money thing and think, well, I need to make that 6 or 7 or 8 figures before I can do this. When in reality, it's something that you can do and it costs less money than you're expecting, that you can invest in that and do it. So this is the way to get people talking about that. So if money were no object, ... finish that in relationship to what you do, and get people talking about, like, let them release themselves from the idea of that I need money to do this. I need money to fix my social media. I need money to have organic fresh produce. I need money to, have optimal health. I have money to actually make movement in my business. Release them from that. If money were no object, what would you do? And make that a little bit more specific. Obviously, what would you do about, but something that relates to you. I see a couple of things. I'm going to get to those in a minute. Share a gift question. Now, sometimes they're called GIFs, sometimes they're called gifts, but this is like, you just landed 3 new clients. Drop a gift showing how you feel, okay? Or something that relates to something that you provide, okay? So you just, or it's Tuesday morning and you have to post on social media. Like, how are you feeling? Drop a gift. So the thing with the gift is that it allows them to react without having to get personal and without having to think about what they're going to say. But from that, you can see the people, okay, as a social media manager, the people that are like, banging their head against the wall, or, trying to hide, or, whatever kind of gifts that they're sharing, or like out of office, or, blowing a gasket or whatever. Those are the people that need your help. So this is a way to connect with people and see who needs your help without them having to say, yeah, you know what, I totally need your help, because that's hard. We all know, like in those 12-step programs, they say the hardest thing is getting up and saying, hi, I am so-and-so and I have this problem, right? So that's true no matter what we're talking about. It's not just in 12-step programs. Same thing with share a photo. This can be something related, or it could just be for engagement. So share a photo, and Jane always does this at her events, right? Share a photo of you at your event. Why? Because now people see you at the event, but also it's something for people to talk about, and it's really easy post. So you could say, hey, I'm cleaning off my desk and it's just a wreck today. Can you show me what your workspace looks like? And people just want to show you. I mean, it's kind of funny, like, that you think that people, but they're just like, oh, well, look at this disaster I have, or, oh, I just cleaned it off. They want to show you. So, or share share the 4th photo on your phone. I've seen those recently, but see if it's something you can relate to what you do. And have them share a photo. If you can't think of anything that relates to it, then just have them share a photo so you can start talking about their photos, their grandkids, their dogs, their business, whatever it is. Tell me something unique about you. Now, this was in the story question, right? Because when we connect on a unique level, all of us are unique, even if we have the same job. Then we can talk more about it, and this gets conversation going, and then you can tell them more about what makes you unique, and not necessarily sell them, but connect to them on a personal level. What's your story? So this is like we just told our story. So, why, if from a social media perspective, like a story, what's your story question could be, why did you decide to be on LinkedIn out of all the platforms? right? And have people answer, like, and tell you, why are they there? Because there's more clients, because there's so many people here, because my networking group is here, whatever it is. Now I know why they're there, and I can go and, you know, see what they're doing and connect with them and talk about what they're doing and what they need help with. A story in 4 words. Okay. I think sometimes it's 3 words, sometimes it's 4. You've probably all seen these. People can't help themselves but comment. So tell me a success story in 4 words or less. Tell me like a healthy story in 4 words or less, or tell me your worst nightmare of gardening in 4 stories or less, than 4 words or less. Okay, it's targeted. It's easy for them because it's only a few words. They don't need to share much. And it's that challenge of like, ooh, how much can I tell them in 4 words, right? Interruption posts. So this is where you want to like interrupt what they're doing and get them to tell you like what's going on in their life right now. Okay, so they're scrolling, and, you know, stop. Who are you, you know, like, who is the last person that you chatted with? Or stop. What does your screen look like right now? Or, I mean, this is similar to like the engagement of like, tell me what's going on in your world, but get them to stop and tell you what the situation is right now. Like, what's the view from where you're working? Okay, sometimes they'll say like, what's the view out your window? Or what, you know, where are you working today? Or what are you having for lunch or whatever? That's an interruption post. You're interrupting what they're doing and you're getting them to tell you what it is. Caption this photo. This is a great thing. You have a photo of you, of your pets, of something that you did in your business, a networking event, whatever it is, and have them write a caption. And I know there's someone who I know through my UK network who does this regularly, and she actually has a contest, and people have to put in the words, like put in the caption, and then she designated somebody every time she does it to pick a winner, and then the winner gets something, and it's usually something very simple or something silly, but people are just so excited to try to win. So that's a great way to have engagement. On a scale of 1 to 10. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in your own abilities? On a scale of 1 to 10, how successful do you feel your social media campaign is right now? On a scale of 1 to 10, how green is your thumb, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, how well are you taking care of your health? It's very easy. People just have to hit a number. Sometimes they'll tell you more, sometimes they don't, but it's a way for them to engage. And this is one, you can only keep one. We all know these posts, right? So you can only keep one. You can only keep one sandwich. You can only keep one book. You can only keep one, you know, luxury or whatever. But you can relate it to what you do. You can make your own graphic, and you can only keep one. Okay. So you can only keep one. You know, networking, making money, connecting with other professionals, collaborating. I don't know, whatever it is. What I always say, and we're going to do this when we talk about polls, is try to make all the answers correct. Right? Like, there is no wrong answer. This way, then you can have a conversation with them about the one that they chose, and it still relates to what you're doing. So these should mildly at least relate to what you're doing, but they don't necessarily have to. So let me check the chat. So what I'm going to do is give you 15 minutes to go through and at least put some sort of a note or a couple of sentences that you can make into a post for each one of those. A lot of these are short and you can write out the whole post, but I'm going to give you 15 minutes. I'm going to check what is in the chat, and you can work on that while I'm, okay, let me see how far I went back. So Charlene said, you are never going to believe that I brought a wild hurt mouse into the house and nursed it until my father found out and threw it out. Yeah, that's a good one to share. I can believe that because I have kids that bring in all kinds of animals all the time. Sometimes I ask them, like, are there any animals in our basement today? Please just let me know. Okay, so I think this is Sherry. It just says SL. I'm assuming it's you. While sitting in a movie theater, which was completely quiet, watching Clash of the Titans, there is a scene with a skeleton rowing across a lake. I said it a bit too loud. How would you like to jump those bones? Loud laughter ensued. I don't know if I'm going to have to try to find that scene now in that movie. that makes me think. So yeah, so if you have questions, if you want to talk this out and ask like how you could do it for you, or if you come up with a great one, please share it with us so that we can help. That helps keep the creative juices flowing. So in the chat or unmute. Sharon says, thank you for the work time. Yeah, and Sherry's laughing. Yeah, that would be pretty funny. I like the work time because this is part of like my mission and my legacy is that when I was trying to learn how to do all this stuff and perfect all this stuff, and I'm a little addicted to learning. So I took like every course and challenge and free webinar that I could. For 3 years straight, I took at least 2 paid courses, 2 unpaid courses, and did like some sort of tutorial every single month for 3 years. And what I found was that 90% of the things I get to the end and maybe I'd be excited, but I still didn't know how to do it. And so I feel very strongly about that when I teach people, I want them to leave with something and have like what they need to do it. But really that they have something that they can implement. So it's not like it goes on a shelf and then you never actually do it. So we're going to just go for like 7 more minutes.
That's why I'm happy that we put this event on together, because Selling on the Spot, though it is a training company, we don't only want to train you, we want to get you all in action and putting these things into action, implementing them. And that's why this is a workshop. So we get to complete it all. You will have something finished at the end of these 3 hours.
Yes, even if you don't finish every single part of this, you will have something to do for a while. And then you can go back and finish the rest of it. The first time you do this, it can be a little overwhelming. So don't feel bad if you're not filling in all the boxes. But when you go to do this for next quarter, it'll be that much easier because you figured out how to do it. We haven't heard much from like Melissa. I don't know if, or Kim, if you have any questions or anything you want to share. Yes, having notes to go back to is definitely useful. And this is laid out so that, I was a teacher and a professor before I transitioned to being a professional writer. And so we would call these graphic organizers. And so it was so much easier when you gave kids something they had to fill out and that told them what to put where, to get them to actually take notes and to absorb what you're teaching them, than if you just said, take out your notebooks and take notes, because some of them would write down every single word you said, and some of them will write down nothing. And both of those aren't going to really help you with processing what you did. So, okay, 5 more minutes. Okay, can I give a example of what's your story request? So it could be, I've seen one going around recently that says I'm just throwing this out, 1987 and it's Saturday night, like what are you doing? So it could be something like that, like where you just pull out a time and a date and what are you doing? Or who are my direct sales people and my friends? What do you sell and why? What was the first thing that you posted on Facebook, and did people respond to it, or something like that? It's just getting a story that people can tell you, like what's one story you remember from being in 3rd grade or anything like that. It's just to get people to tell you their story. So it can be related to what you do directly. It's great when you can do that. Or it could just be like, please just tell me who you are. And then you can relate to them in a better way when you're trying to tell them about your products. Okay, so you got it. Great. And if you're really stuck, you can look at these story posts over here I know that these are all like goal driven, but you can pull out one of these and make, adapt it to your audience, and ask them for the story. So we're going to finish this in like 3 minutes, and I'm going to just give everybody a 2-minute like stretch break if you need to just get a glass of water, or you just need to stand up and stretch or whatever, because I know it's been an hour and a half. We still have an hour and a half to go, but if just a quick 2-minute thing, because we still have a lot to get through. Bio break, yes, Sharon. I know I've been on Zoom pretty much since 7 o'clock this morning. So I've had like little like three. I ran through the kitchen at one point. I was like, I have 3 minutes. I grabbed a snack and ran to the bathroom and came back. But yeah, so Zoom is a great thing, but it can get long.
Yes, we definitely want you all to take care of yourselves.
Yes. Okay. Anybody have anything that they want to share from these, like a really good engagement post that you came up with? We've got 2 minutes left. If you're finished with them and you want to, you can't wait any longer, you could jump off. But if you have one to share, that would be great. Okay, what's one story about yourself that when you look back on it makes you laugh? That's a good one. I might take that one, Sharon. Borrow it. I'm going to borrow it. You can't copyright social media posts. So, it's always nice to borrow among friends, and that's a really good one. All right, so we are at 1:35 my time. Yeah, we're all allowed to borrow. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes. So please be back at 1:37 or 37 after whatever hour it is at your place. I'm going to stay here for those 2 minutes if anybody has questions, but take a break if you need it.
Yes, thank you. Everybody take a couple minutes if you want to turn off your cameras, mute yourselves out, and then we'll all be back. Thank you.
All right, so I'm hoping that everybody is coming back now. This way we can keep going. Just did a quick check-in on my phone. The world hasn't ended because I haven't answered these questions. So, all right, so let me see. Most of people, seems like most people are back. All right, so I'm going to keep going because, like I said, I want to get through this. So, the next one is teaching content-based posts. So these are posts that help educate your audience. So they provide value and teach them something. So think of the taste, if you're on Facebook, which I think all of you are, the tasty post, you know, the little videos that show you how to make this whole meal in like 2 minutes. Those are content-based posts. So they would be similar to something you would see in a vlog or a video tutorial or a blog, but they're shorter because they're on social media. So when you're going through this, remember that the purpose of each of these is to teach your audience something. And when you give value away, you always get more back. So don't be afraid to share value and to share your secrets a little bit and to teach people how to do what you do. That won't make them less likely to buy into you. That will make them more likely to buy into you. So I'm going to go through these and then I'm going to give you some time to at least write down notes. Out of all of these are going to be longer posts. Now you don't want to make it so long that it, you know, it's too much to read. Think of a succinct way to still get all the steps in and space it out so it's easier to read. But these are going to be your longer posts, okay, when you're teaching people things. So a teaching post, 5 easy steps. Okay, so 5 easy steps to make a keto dessert, or 5 easy steps to get more likes on Facebook, or 5 easy steps to start your morning healthy, or whatever it is. But think of 5 things that people can do that are very easy, need very little materials or very little investment, that your followers can just look at and say, "Ooh, I'm going to do that," and get a quick win. Okay, so this should be something that's going to make a difference in their day and their life and their week or their business, but they can do it easily and they don't have to. It's not like, oh, well, you have to buy this tool to do it, you know? So that's 5 easy steps. What not to do. Okay, so we all know in our industry, like what not to do. This is kind of like that book. My mom used to love these books. It was like, Eat This, Not That, I think it was called. And so the idea was that, you know, like everybody wants to buy this, but don't do that, do this instead. So what not to do posts are so helpful because people are like, wow, I didn't know that. And it shows your expertise, but it also helps them recognize what they're doing wrong without you having to be like, you're doing this wrong. Okay. So for instance, I did a post the other day about one of the things that I see that most people do wrong is that they don't have a call to action at the end of their post. So this comes back to kind of like selling on the spot. Like you need to ask for the sale, right? If you're putting all this out there and you're like, nobody's booking on my calendar, nobody's buying my product, but you never ask them, hey, book a call or buy my product or opt into my email, then they're not going to do it. So that was a what not to do. Like, don't show up every single day and write this really great post and then never ask anybody to do what you want them to do. And so many people were so excited about that post. I wasn't sure how, I was a little bit blunt in part of it, but I didn't know how it would go. But people were like, yeah, thanks for pointing that out. I definitely am doing that. Most common mistakes. This is the same thing. Okay. My friend Tressa always says, you don't know what you don't know. Okay. So there are people that we serve and people that maybe are who we used to be, and that's why we serve them, that are making mistakes. And sometimes they don't realize it. And sometimes they realize that something's wrong, but they don't know what it is. Okay. So maybe like top 1 to 3 common mistakes that people make in your space. Okay. So, again, these should be something really simple. So for instance, I know SEO and I help people with SEO, but I'm not going to go into like, these are the top 3 mistakes people are making, like update your schema and like all these things that are real, install breadcrumbs, things that are really technical that someone can't just go off and do. You want this to be something that they're like, oh, you mean that if I post between like 8 and 10 in the morning, I'm going to get more people to reply than if I post between 2 and 3? Like, that's just a common mistake that people make on LinkedIn. That's very easy to fix, and doesn't take money or a lot of investment, but they can do it. And then they can see that it gives them results. What you want from each of these is that they get results. And then they're like, she knows what she's talking about. Tutorial, this is step by step. Okay, so this is even more like the tasty video where they show you how to make something, and you could pretty much do it from the video, but you probably need a little bit more help. But you can at least try it and be like, ooh, they do make good food, right? I've experimented with some of those, but you always have to because they don't tell you precisely how to do it. You need to play with it a little bit. So tutorial, again, low investment, low time, low tools needed. What will people have at their disposal or can get for free easily online, like the LinkedIn hashtag extension. I did a whole thing about finding your right hashtags and how to use them, right? The LinkedIn hashtag extension is free. Everybody knows what a hashtag is, and all they need to do is find the right ones and use the right number. So I did a step-by-step tutorial of how to do it. It was something that would make a big difference for them, but they didn't have to invest, let's say $200 into something or upgrade to Navigator for $100 something a month. And it was something that everybody can do and then say, wow, that really worked for me. Trade secret, I see a couple things in the chat and I'll get to those in a moment. So trade secret, this is where you kind of pull back the veil and let them see how something works or why it works or how you do something. So there are things that all of us do that become second nature to us because we're doing them as part of our work that most people don't know to do that. So this is where you let out those little secrets that make a big difference. And you might think, well, if I tell them how to do that, and this is going to give them whatever, then they don't need me. But the point is that they do need you. And they're going to try that, but they don't have the 17 other steps to give them the whole effect. They're just going to get a quick win and be like, ooh, I want to know more about this. So don't be afraid to share something that is proprietary. I went through all of my, I have something that's called Rock 12 Posts. And it's part of my proprietary system, but I have it. I did it as a social media series. I did it as a video series, and I did it as an email series. And you might say, well, if they have that, then they don't need your system, but they do, because that's only part of it and that will help them, but it's not going to give them the whole results. So I have no problem sharing that little thing. And the last thing is unbelievable hack. So think of this as kind of like when they show you, like, you've been doing this wrong all your life, like opening the bananas, like how life-changing was that? Or that the hole at the end of your cutting board isn't to hang it on the wall. It's this way you can guide things into a pot and stuff. So think of those like unbelievable hacks. Like, this is super simple and you never knew that it happened, and you can do this in like 5 minutes or less. So I'm going to check the chat. Okay. Yes. Sharon, if you message me after this, then I can, I'll tag you. I can send you that info, or I can tag you in the post where I'm pretty sure I have a post on it, but I know that I've talked about that a lot. So I could just send it to you. It's the only thing on LinkedIn it's the only thing for LinkedIn that researches hashtags. That's why most people don't know about it. It's okay. What triggered you to take action and get out of there? That's a great question, especially if that is your audience. Like, a scale of 1 to 10, how good is your day going? That's another great question. Okay, see, there's one more. All right. So why don't we just it's 47 after the hour. If we just take like 10 minutes to do this, these you're probably not going to get them done, like them completely done, but at least put down an idea. Like, I can teach them this hack, or I can teach them how to do X, Y, and Z. And again, tutorial, 3 to 5 steps. Don't go beyond that. because people have short attention spans and they'll just get frustrated if it's too many. And if you have something that you want to share, like 5 easy steps, like I would love to learn your trade secrets and your 5 easy steps. I love learning anything. So definitely share some of that in the chat with us and ask questions if you need to. All right, so 8 more minutes. And if you have like an unbelievable hack or, you know, something that you want to share, that's really exciting. Even if you don't think it's exciting, I guarantee if you figured out an unbelievable hack, it will be exciting for the rest of us. Please be sure to share it.
Sure, I heard that one about the cutting board before, but even that was a good refresher for you to say. If you asked me right now, I probably would have thought it was a finger hole or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I always wondered, and then I saw it on Facebook. Like, I guess that's the wonder of Facebook.
Yes.
Is everybody doing okay with keeping up with this? I always feel like I'm going a million miles a minute when I go through this, but the second time that you do this, like when you come back and you do your board again, either you make another copy of it for next quarter or you just decide to make new posts. It will go much faster because you won't have me talking so much and you'll know what to do. All right. Okay, we are on, it's called content-based posts, Sharon. So these are all posts where, oh, you got it. Oh, that was Sherry. I'm sorry. Yeah, Sherry, we're doing the content-based post, which is where you teach somebody something, something simple that can give them a quick win. And this is where you show your expertise so they can see that you know what you're talking about. And also they can get a little bit of a boost and feel like you're sharing a lot of value with them. So 5 easy steps. Hold on, beat. Pause in music. List 10 things you are grateful for and why. Send unconditional love to 3 people, including yourself. Oh, I can't see the end of it. I don't. Yeah, you're probably gonna need to write the content later because they're longer ones. What do I need to do today that makes a positive impact on somebody today? Nice. That's a good 5-step thing. Yeah, because you're setting yourself up for success. All right, 3 more minutes. Anybody else have some great tips? Let's see. 5 easy steps to start your morning for all day energy. Yeah, I like that one. I keep saying that I'm very tired all the time, but it's because I'm like squeezing as much as I can out of every minute in the day, starting very early, going very late. So now I've realized that I just need to, I'm in the process of outsourcing something, so I'm not working 80 to 90 hours a week. And also just trying to make sure that I up my nutrition. So I have that energy to keep going, because I've met with several productivity coaches and they're like, yeah, you're already doing everything you possibly can do and doing more in 10 hours than most people are doing. So it's not the productivity problem, it's that you're trying to do too many things. So anyway, I guess that's a good thing. All right. 5 easy steps to stay energized during long work days. Yes, that's a good one. I will take all the recommendations in that too. I have my oils, I have I have all the things, but still some days it's long, especially on Zoom. I find Zoom very tiring.
I don't necessarily find Zoom tiring. I find sitting at a chair and the same chair very
I
tiring.
guess that's part of it, is that when you're on Zoom, like I try not to move too much, because Brenda's always like, show up in the space. And so I try to, but it's very hard for me to stay still this long. 5 easy ways to start your day with self-love. Great. 5 quick ways to improve your brain. I love that one, Sherry. That's a good one. Yeah, people are going to want to know that one. So 1 more minute. And then I think I went too far over. Okay, these next 2 go pretty quick. All right, so I know you probably don't have those done, but you at least have your creative juices flowing. And those posts are ones that, just pull them out every once in a while, because people love finding those out, and you have new followers, and the followers that you had then may not have even seen it, so you get to share it again. And sometimes we need to see things several times before we act on them. So it's like planting those seeds, when you have that gnawing thing in the back, like I should sign up for that event, I should download that PDF. So just keep putting that out there. Okay, quote graphics. These are great, easy posts that really inspire people and get them commenting, and it makes you look like so professional and accomplished. But all you're doing is taking a quote of something that you've said either in a blog post, something you've said on a podcast, something you always say to your clients or your customers, or even just something that is it is a saying that is like attached to you, like a branded saying. Some of us have branded sayings. So the perfect example of this is if you know Stu McLaren and you've ever taken any of his trainings or been in any of his programs, he has so many different things that he says, and they're all funny, and it's just part of his personality. And he said the one time people showed up at one of his events and they had these shirts that had all of his sayings on them. Like, I think it's like sugar plums and fiddlesticks, or like there's different things that he said. So either if you have something like that you say often, that is yours and people identify you by, or something that you have said about your industry that you keep saying. Okay. So this is also where you want to use your brain and start making these branded phrases. Okay. So you may be saying the same thing different ways, just find one way to say it and make it your branded thing. So for instance, I have some of these, and all you need to do for these is go into Canva, pick a background. It could just be a solid color. It could be, you know, a photo, whatever you want. I've seen them done all different ways. It doesn't really matter. Pick a background, type out your quote, make sure that it's short. This way you can make the font big. So like 1 to 2 sentences max, and then put your name underneath it in a smaller font and put your logo. And that's it. And now people are like, wow, look, like she's so important that she has a quote graphic. But you made the quote graphic, but it still impresses people. Okay. So I have one that I pull out every once in a while. Every time I do, people get really excited about it. I put it on LinkedIn the other day, and I think there were like 39 people that reacted to it within a short period of time. And really, I don't think that the post was any better than my other posts or whatever. And I have some really nice photography that my daughter does, but they just like quote graphics. So it says social media isn't a billboard, it's a conversation. Okay, because that's something that I've been trying to get people to understand. And finally I came up with a phrase, and that's what I use like all the time. Or educate your audience in what you sell, how to get it, and why they need it in their life. That's what I mean, that's my method. I could explain it 17 different ways, but I came up with one way of saying it. So you may have ideas of these things, you may not, but this is the simplest post that you can put up. And you could make a whole mess of these and do one a week, and people will, and just keep cycling them through. You could even just make like 12 of them and cycle, because people aren't going to necessarily remember. I have a client that's what she does. She just, every once in a while she makes more, but she started with like 20 of them or 15 of them or something. And she just put up one a week and just kept putting them out. And then she got known for those quotes. So it's not like, oh, I've seen this already. I mean, we've all seen quotes from like Dr. Martin Luther King, right? We all know that I have a dream quote, or one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. Like we know these quotes that are repeated over and over and over again. So let me check the chat. Do nothing, get nothing, do something, and you will get something. And even if it isn't exactly what you wanted, you will have something to work with. That's great. It's a little long for a quote graphic, but still, that's what I'm talking about. So if you have an idea and you want to put down a couple ideas here, you can do that, but this is something that's very easy to come back to. One sentence, right? Put it on a background, put it up here, and I'll show you like when you add it to here, just so you can see what it looks like. Let me see if I'm just going to add a, like, let's pretend that this is my quote graphic. I'm not going to scroll through everything, but when you add it and then you close this out, then it shows it right there. So when you are doing your planning, if you do make a whole mess of these, you can just go out and pull them really quickly. You're not going to have to go and click on every box. I'm going to take this out though, because then if someone, what am I doing? I don't want that to be on everybody's board when they come into, if they come into this later. Okay, so change your choices and your choices change. That's another really good one. Everything happens for a reason, and that reason is there to serve you. Great, I love these. So that's really simple. Unless anybody has questions, I'm going to move on to the next one. Okay, and these you can make those 6 in Canva in probably like 10 minutes or less once you have probably even 5 minutes, once you have the quotes. They're very easy to do. You can even just do the exact same background and just put in different words. But remember to put your name underneath it, that you said it. and your logo, because a lot of times people will share those, especially if it like, inspires them or makes where they think it's funny, or they, like just speaks to them, and you want people to see where it came from. Okay, polls. Now, I know there are a lot of people who don't like polls, and have a client who hates polls, like he just refuses to do them. But here's the thing with polls, two things. As far as social media, they get more engagement than anything else that you're going to put up there, aside from video. But as far as like a written post, especially on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, you're going to get 10 times the amount of views that you do on any other post, just because it's a poll, because LinkedIn likes polls, and so they show it to more people. So that's one thing. They're highly engaging people. Even the people that complain about polls, they still answer them, right? Like people still answer them. Have you ever seen a poll that nobody responded to? No, because people will respond to it. Second thing is that poll is a great way to educate your audience and get conversations going, because the secret is, now this is one of those like trade secret things. The secret is that when you're doing a poll on social media as a business, every answer should be correct. Every answer. Okay, so for instance, if you are a chocolatier and you ask them, what is the best addition to the perfect chocolate bar? And you have in there peanuts and raisins, Crispies, or mint cream filling, right? Or you could put other. I saw recently, I'm trying to remember where that was, that I was at a training and somebody said it's challenging, or no, it's complicated. That's what she always puts last. It's complicated. And I was like, oh, I like that one, because then people explain what it is instead of other. So I've started putting that one on there. But you should have all three of those fillings you should have in your chocolate, because then you can talk to them and ask them, so why do you like that one so much? And maybe they'll say, you know what, like my mom always gave me peanuts and raisins to take to school as a snack. And so it just brings back like, that comfort food idea. Or mint cream is just my favorite thing. And I love to have it after a really spicy meal because I like, strong flavors before I go back to the office or whatever. And then you can tell them about your product, or, the next day when you share about, hey, our mint cream chocolates are on sale, or just announcing that we have these brand new candy bars, then they're going to see it and they're going to be like, oh, that's exactly what I wanted. So all of the answers are correct on every poll. You don't want to put a poll out there and people say, really, I want this, and you don't offer that at all, right? You want it to be something that you offer. So they should either be all pain points that your people have. Like when you say, like, what is your biggest struggle on LinkedIn right now? You're going to put in the pain points that people are telling you that they have. And those are pain points that you can address. If the pain point that they're having is, getting their AI to automatically message 1,000 people a day, well, I don't deal with that. So I'm not going to put that in as an option. So does this make sense to everybody, how you do this? Only do 3 to 4 options. If you do too many options, people will not respond. When you can, use that little poll feature. Now, I know Facebook likes to play games, and sometimes it's available and sometimes it's not. And last time I went to go do it, like I didn't have it. LinkedIn always has it. But even if you can make a graphic that has like A, B, C, or D, or you put it in the post, comment A, B, C, or D, or sometimes people do them with colors, like colored hearts or emojis or whatever. The point is that you're getting people to show you where their problems are. This is market research. It's building engagement. And it's also educating your audience in what they have going on and what you offer for them. So does anybody have a good poll idea that they can come up with? And again, you can do the same poll over and over and over again because people will vote differently. But if you have a great poll idea, I think I'm going to give you like, let's say 6 minutes to just come up with at least one poll. If you go back and think of like, what are the biggest pain points that your people have? What are the biggest transformations that they want? What is it that is manifesting in their life because they have this problem. So the problem is that they're drinking too much caffeine. But what is it that they're feeling? Like they're lethargic, they're not sleeping at night, they feel jittery. Okay. So I'm just throwing out ideas, but these are the type of polls that you can put out there. What are some things that people need to accomplish what you're accomplishing? So are you taking vitamins? You know, like what vitamins do you take every day? Or what's your morning routine? Or do you have a morning routine? Those are all questions that you can ask. So does anybody have questions about that or have something to share? I'm going to let you go until 5. Oh no, hold on. Math is hard sometimes. 15 after the hour.
I don't know if you saw the one that I shared in the Selling on the Spot Marketplace global community recently, because it was in regards to this workshop. So I asked, do you use Trello? And it was yes, no, or I don't know it. Should I? Right. And that got a whole lot of conversation started.
Yes. Yes. And that's perfect because there is no wrong answer there, right? Because if they said yes, you could say, hey, well, we're doing a planning workshop that uses Trello. If they said no, you can say, hey, you need to check it out because it's a great planning tool and we have a planning session coming. Or if they say, I don't know what it is, and you can explain it and say, why don't you come to our planning session and find out how it works?
Exactly.
There we go. All the answers are correct. You could put in the it's complicated. I'd like to always put in some sort of other because there's times that people feel like they need to explain more. And those are usually the best conversations when people are other, it's complicated choices.
Yeah, I wrote that down, that it's complicated. I like that as an option.
If I can remember who said that to me, I'll give them credit, but I don't right now. I've been on too many different Zoom meetings, which is all good. If you have a poll finished, you can put it in the chat, or if you're having a hard time coming up with, you know, options or answers, then be sure to sing out and we can help you. See, sing out, that's one of those branded phrases. My husband says that, and I don't know, it's not one that I like, but after 30 years, like every once in a while, I find myself using it because he says it all the time. How is everyone feeling about planning their content at this point? If you want to tell me that, like on a scale of 1 to 10, a little over 2 hours into this, how do you feel about it? 10. Oh, glad. Yeah, it's just so much better to get it done.
Also busy answering or completing it that they haven't answered.
Yeah,
But that's perfect. We want you all working on it.
Yes, I'm glad that you're working. Think of how accomplished you're going to feel when you're done with this workshop. Oh, good. You're getting things done. Good thing, Sharon. 9. Good. I'm glad that you guys are all making progress. And you know what? Even you don't need to get up to a 10 today. Even if you went from 1 to a 5, then that is awesome. You've made massive progress, right? Just 3 more minutes.
Yeah, the prompts are fantastic. because this gives us a plan to follow.
Mhm. And that was what I realized at some point, is that I could keep telling people what they had to do, but then when they sat down, it was so hard for them to. So that's when I came up with the idea of doing the prompts. And sometimes, honestly, I go back and find, like when I'm when I'm planning, I go back and I'm like, what? Let me go back to that board that I made for somebody and find out some of their prompts. This way, I have something to post about. All right. Thank you, Sherry. I'm glad that you feel that way. Yes, I have to say Trello, when it first came out, which I'm trying to think of when it came out, I don't even know. It's been a long time. And someone said, you have to try this, right? And I got it and I tried it and I hated it. I couldn't figure it out. It didn't make any sense to me. I was like, what's the point? Like you could just make it. But then a client right after that was using Trello and had me, like I had to learn how to do it. And then once I learned it, I was like, this is like so fantastic. There's so much you can do with this. And then I was totally a Trello fan and I try to get everybody on Trello. But yes, my first experience, I was like, I just don't get it. Okay, one more minute. Yeah, it is nice to have the template. Thank you, Melissa. Because then it works. And now like that you have the template, you can personalize it to yourself. I have some people who, I'll go over this in a little bit, like how they use it for planning. Everybody uses it a little bit differently, and there's no right way and there's no wrong way. It really is what works for you. So that's what I love about it too, is that there's so many ways to use it. Okay, the next list is lifestyle. So this is similar to story, but in this you're selling basically your lifestyle. You're letting people see a glimpse into your daily life and also showing them like, how do you do this, right? You know, like things happen out here, but how are you doing this? Like you are a human being. So these are posts that people are most interested in and will want to know. And it's a way for you to provide value, but still be very real and personal, especially on Facebook and Instagram. These are great posts because you can do photos with them. So morning routine, like what do you do in your morning? It doesn't have to be complicated. It could be just 3 things, but let people know like how, you know, they might be looking at you and say, oh, that person's really successful, or, oh, they're accomplishing a lot, or, you know, I wish I could have a business, but I don't have time. How do they fit it in? So letting them know what your morning routine is to get them going is a great way. And if you can incorporate something that relates to what you do, then that's great also. Again, very short, personal, like response. And then you can ask them at the end, like, what's your morning routine? Or do you have a morning routine? Or something like that. So your favorite moment, what is something that either has happened recently, like you had this experience that it was like, you know, you have those experiences, you're like, oh, this is like a perfect moment, right? And sometimes you take a picture and sometimes you just take a picture in your mind. But, you know, like what's a favorite moment, or a favorite moment of like your day or your week, like something that you do regularly, like perhaps you sit down with a friend for lunch every Thursday afternoon, or whatever it is, like what's that favorite moment that you can share? Something surprising. Okay. This is something, there's always something surprising that you can share, right? Like the one day, and I actually didn't get the post up, but you know, I came downstairs from working in between things. And my son was sitting there with a duck in our living room, like because it was really cold. And so he had the heat blowing on it. And so I thought, like, here is a duck in the middle of my living room getting like a, spa treatment. Or something surprising about you. This could be more of like those unique quirks or whatever that you want to share. So just think of something that you can share about that. View from my window or from my desk. Every once in a while I do this. Like over the summer, we were back east to visit family and we were at the beach and I was working. And so I took a picture, like looking over my, my computer to the beach. And about how happy I was that like my kids could play on the beach and have a great day and I can still get work done and make money. An activity or an event. So this is two different things. So one is like, for instance, when you go to a workshop, you go to an event and sometimes they ask you to take a picture and share it. Or if you meet somebody, like famous or somebody that every time I meet someone that I'm friends with online, in person, I take a picture and post it. Okay. So that's something that you can share. It gets people interested and then it lets them, especially if you're at an event that directly relates to what you're doing. So you're at an event to improve your business or you're at an event to learn about what you're doing, then that shows that you are invested in this. And something you do every year. So what's something that you do every year? So really until a couple of years ago, every year my family went to my family, like my husband and my kids and I, went to Cape Cod, to Eastham, because my husband's family came over on the Mayflower and that was the town that they founded. And every year we would have a family reunion and cousins would come in from like across the country and we'd spend the whole week together and, all wear the same color shirts and whatever. And that was something that we did every year. So that's something you can share. It can be something that relates to your business or it could be something that relates to your life. I mean, I can relate that to my business because since I work virtually and can help people anywhere, if I bring my laptop with me, then, I can go there. So that is something, lifestyle, like other things that like you do, like hobbies, clubs that you belong to, any of those can be lifestyle posts. I had a post up today about something. I love learning languages. I have since I was a very little girl. I used to watch TV in French and I used to get flashcards for this. And so right now I'm learning Turkish because I just decided I was like, why Turkish? Why not? Like, I just decided that I picked a language that I knew nothing about and wanted to learn it. So that's just something that, every once in a while I throw in something about a hobby that I have that makes me more relatable. It doesn't have much to do with what I am doing, except I talked about how if you don't speak the same language as your customer, as your audience, when you're online, you're not going to get the right results. So why don't we take like 7 minutes and just go through and put in at least some notes of things that you could share about this with your audience. Yeah, I've shared sunrises. The one time I shared, because we bought the property next door to ours and there's a small house on there that we turned into a short-term rent, like a vacation rental. And so I have a picture of the sun coming up, like you can just barely see it. So that was a way to be like, hey, we got this new business, but also, people like photography. I'm not the best photographer. I pay my daughter to do it. I need to get her to take more photos for me. I've run out. She goes around and takes pictures of our animals and our property and stuff. And I guess that would be another thing with lifestyle, is that, we have a small homestead here with lots of animals. And so everybody gets excited looking at pictures of animals instead of, what you would normally see on, especially on LinkedIn. So I relate the stories of the animals to marketing and digital social media and whatever. And so that's another lifestyle type post, like finding something that is about you, like maybe your dog or your garden or whatever, and putting pictures up and relating it to how you serve people.
anyone want to share something quickly, either on camera or in the chat, so that again we can get to know each other a little bit better?
I always say that like the internet takes people watching to a new level because you could find out a lot more about them than just watching them interact. All right, 3 more minutes. I know you're all feverishly typing.
I think especially since COVID and lockdown, that because we're so much in front of the computer, everybody enjoys seeing a glimpse into each other's life.
Yes, yes. It's always neat to know what people are doing. Especially when you only see them like shoulder back. You actually know who they really are. Let's see. Favorite moment was standing at the top of an active volcano and looking out over the clouds at the molten lava. Yeah, that sounds like that would definitely be an impressive moment. In the winter, I mean, the sunsets in South Dakota are like amazing all the time. But in the winter, there's an abandoned house like across the street, like catty corner to our property, because there's all fields surrounding us. And the way the sun hits the house, like it just all glows. And I don't know, it's just like whenever we're out there and watch that, like every time we're like, it's such a bad, like we take a picture, like this is the best sunset ever. And then we see another one. And it's just like one of those moments that's like, oh, I love living right here and looking at that view every night. I don't get out there enough, but when I do, it's a great moment. Okay, 1 last minute. If anybody has anything else to share. That could also be something surprising. Yeah, standing on top of an active volcano, I guess, would be pretty surprising. I remember my grandmother in her 70s became a world traveler and she went everywhere. The only place she didn't go was Southeast Asia, but she basically went, or actually, maybe it was Australia. There was one place in the Pacific. I'm trying now. It's been a while. But anyway, she actually had the tickets. I think it was Australia. She had the tickets booked. And then she decided that it was just too far for her to fly because she was already in her late 80s. But she told me one time that I think she went to Hawaii like 5 times. And she was like, yeah, I'm doing a hike of a volcano. And I was like, what? She was like, yeah, we're going to go down into it. And I was like, are you sure about this? And she's like, yeah, it's perfectly safe. I was like, okay. I'm like, it's really an active volcano? She said, yes. She's like, we have a tour guide. It's okay. I was like, all right. Anyway, that made me think of that. All right, so let's go on to the next one. Now, this is another easy one, like with the quote graphics, but it sets you up as showing your expertise and how important you are and how wonderful you are. Okay, testimonials and celebrations. Sometimes it's really hard for us to toot our own horn. And it was a very hard thing for me to get over to finally start asking for testimonials. And what I figured out is that people like to give you testimonials. It's just that you need to ask them because they get busy and they forget. So there's that saying that like if it doesn't show up on Facebook, it never really happened. When someone gives you a testimonial, like they text it to you, they email it to you, they respond to a post that you put up with, wow, you know, like I did this program and it was so great. Or they post it on LinkedIn or Facebook on your page. Take a screenshot of it and share it on your social media. You can write a long post about like what you did for the person, or you can just write a short post, like so excited to hear back from, you know, the results I got from my client. The thing is that it shows that you are actually accomplishing something, right? Because you want to validate that you are a valid business. There's plenty of people out there that are scammers and aren't doing good work. But it also gives them a glimpse into who you're helping and how you're helping them. So it's very important to share those testimonials, share those celebrations, and just keep a running record of them. Like every time you get one, you can add it and then pull it out when you want. couple days ago, and I still need to figure out how to screenshot it because it's on Boxer, but a client contacted me and she was all excited. She took a screenshot of her Instagram, and someone had responded, that's like an influencer in her space, had responded to her story. And she's like, it's happening. I'm so excited. Thank you for all your help. And so like, that was, I mean, it's great. Like, it makes me feel great, but like, that's something that people need to see, because then they know, oh, she really can do what she's saying happens. These are very important to put on your social media. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a formal testimonial. It could just be an email. When I had something up about a program that I was offering, I think it was around Christmas, like a bundle, and someone had bought it another time, and she commented on the post and was like, I'm working through this and it's completely life-changing, and I'm so glad that I did it. Like, thank you so much for everything you taught me. So I screenshotted that and did it as like a follow-up to selling the program. Like, hey, this is what this program's doing for this person. And I totally didn't know she was going to do that. It was out of the blue, but I've started to learn to screenshot things. So definitely do that. I'm going to see, there's a couple things in the chat. Playing in the snow in a volcano. Now that is interesting. I'm gonna have to think about it. I guess I never thought of volcanoes having snow. So if you want to just take a minute and think of, even if you can just think of, if you don't have testimonials, if you don't have screenshots, just think of who are 6 people I could ask for a testimonial, and then take a screenshot. Or where are places that people have, you know, said, thank you for this, or I learned so much, or I'm so glad to be here, whatever it is, I can take a screenshot and use it. So just take like a minute and a half and take those little notes in there so that you can go and find those things. And if you don't know how to do this the right way, well, computers are different, but the way I have print screen, which is my screenshot. So figure out how you do screenshot. And then what I do is, Canva doesn't let you, like, I use Canva a lot, but doesn't let you paste it right in there. So I paste it into a draft email, and then I right click and save it as a graphic, and then put it into Canva. So I can make it whatever size I want, and I can edit out. Sometimes when you take the screenshot, like there's too many other things on the screen. You just want to focus on what the person said. So I can edit it out. I can make it bigger or whatever. So that's how you would do that. Does anybody have questions? We're coming down to the nitty gritty. It's last two lists.
I'll add too that even though we do, as Selling on the Spot, especially at Selling on the Spot Marketplace, ask for testimonials, because then we'll put it into our slide deck, into our PowerPoint, because we want to lift up our community. But I love that, I think it was just yesterday, somebody that's one of our new members, one of our new professional members, she was so excited that when somebody becomes a new member, we create a profile shot, and then we share them in our global community, and we share them in our private group for members. She took the time, and I got so excited, I got teary-eyed. She framed that image. She printed and framed that image and put it up in her office. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to share that, because I love that. That is so touching to me, that somebody felt so wonderful by being a part of our paid membership that she took the time to frame it. So I want to share that on social media, which will then lift her up yet again and her business.
Well, yes,
that's what I care about.
Yeah, when you share, also tag the other person, because it'll show up on their profile, and it's just a nice way to like give them recognition, but also the people that are following them will now see your post. And so it's just a way to get more traffic too. Always good to build each other up. I keep saying incoming tide raises all ships. So, you know, if I help you and you get better, then all of us do better. Okay. So, and like I said, the celebration part of it is, it doesn't have to be a formal testimonial. It could also be, a few months ago, I had a really, really good week. Like, I had a goal and I crushed my goal, and I was so excited. And I went out and I bought myself a electric tea kettle and some chocolate. And I took a picture of it and I posted online, like, oh, I crushed my goals this week. And everybody, you know, like, celebrate with me. And that's just a way of showing that, you accomplish something and letting people celebrate with you. So the next one, and this is the last one as far as content planning, is invitation. Now, we talked a lot about giving people value, making them engage, getting people to come to your page, but we don't want them to just stay there. As we've learned recently, Facebook disappeared for, what was it, like 9 hours or something like that. Instagram has gone down. LinkedIn has been funny. We don't own any of that stuff. It's all on somebody else's platform. Like I said, you can't trademark a post because really you don't own it. Instagram owns it or LinkedIn owns it. So we don't want people to just stay there. We want them to go onto our calendar, into our funnel, onto our email list. And so you need to ask and invite them to do that. Now, when you're doing that, you need to be careful because this is the only place that you probably would use links, but you still need to use them judiciously because every platform doesn't like links because you're leading people away from them being there. And how do they make money? By you being there. So there's a couple ways you can do this. You can put at the bottom of your post, like connect with me below, or check the comments to learn how, or something like that. Do not put click the link in the comments. You know why? Because the AI has figured that out and they count it as you having a link. Okay. They're probably going to figure the other things out, but for now you can be a little cagey and tell them what to do. So you want to make an invitation and you could put the link, but less people will see the link. It's better to share the link somehow in the comments or in a direct message to the people. You don't want to put the link in the comments though until someone else has commented, because again, the AI has figured out that that's what we're doing. So if you are the first one to comment with a link, it counts it as a post with a link and you're going to be downgraded anyway. So think of where you want people to go. So an invitation to connect. This could be, sometimes every once in a while I see, I know people are reading my posts, but could you become a connection? Or I just started my YouTube channel. Can you follow me there? Okay. Or book a discovery call and let's get to know each other, whatever it is. But it's an invitation to somehow connect directly with you, either in a different place or in a different way, but you want to connect and get to know each other better. An invitation to join your group. If you have a group, either on Facebook, you have a Telegram channel, you have a Mighty Networks group, whatever it is, you have something going on that people can join, invite them to join that group. If you're on Facebook and you have a Facebook group, that's a great place to share it because you can link to that group and it's not considered a link because it's still on the platform. Now you could say, well, I have the link on my profile, and there are many people that say, oh, have you joined my group? Because I network a lot and somebody will be like, oh, have you joined my group? And I'm like, no, why don't you tell me what it is? And I go to their platform, go to their profile. It doesn't say anything about the group on the profile. I go to their business page. It doesn't say anything about the group on the business page. And then when I get to the group, it's like, okay, well, this group exists, but I had no idea how to get there. And there's no pinned post that invites you. So if you have a group, if you're putting energy into that, make sure that there is an invitation multiple places, but at least somewhere in a graphic, in a post, somehow that people can get to that group, unless it's a paid group and they need to pay to join. But even then it's good to advertise because people want to join. Then you're like, oh, well, you need to pay a membership to join it. An invitation to opt in. So what's your lead magnet, your opt-in, your freebie, whatever you call it. A great way to do this is say, hey, I have a way to take 2 sentences and make 12 different posts out of it. Who would love to know how to do that? And have them comment below, and either you can put the link as a response to their comment or you can direct message them. But that's a great way to invite them to do it because you have this free resource. We all like free resources. So, get people to get that. An invitation to follow you elsewhere. This is kind of like an invitation to connect as well. I started a YouTube channel and now I regularly go back to my posts on LinkedIn and put in the comments like, please, check out this latest video, or are you having trouble with this? Check out this latest video. But I do also post like, hey, I started a YouTube channel and this is what I learned, because I want people to go over there and connect with me there too and follow me. Invitation to check out content. So if you have a blog, you have a podcast, you have a blog, whatever you're doing, you're on someone else's podcast, you're featured in an e-magazine. That is an invitation to check out that content. If you can find a link to that on whatever profile platform you're on. So for instance, if you're featured in an e-magazine and they have a profile on LinkedIn, like share their post about that, or share the post about the podcast. Like I was on Lena's podcast, and so I shared when she put it up that I was on her podcast. Then that gives them a boost, and also it's not like sharing the link, but it lets you share that content. And so when people go and check out that content, they learn more about your expertise, they learn more about what you do, and they get to know, like, and trust you more. Invitation to a sale. You don't want to invite people to sale very often. Very, like this should be the least used post that you have, because social media is all about soft sale, not hard sale. But every once in a while, like Black Friday, hey, I have Black Friday special, or April Fools, like I'm discounting my things, or I just released this new thing, it's only available for 72 hours, like sign on. That's all acceptable if you've been nurturing your audience, and people will come and buy it, but you just don't want to always be saying buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. So this is your chance to ask people to buy something. And you can do it in a way that it's like, if you had a tool that could organize your social media and help you plan an entire quarter in 3 hours, would you want it? And then people ask, and then you tell them about it's the same thing as like the opt-in, but you can say, I have that on sale right now for 48 hours. So does anybody have questions about these? Like how to use them, what to do with them? Does anybody have a great idea of where you can invite people to go? It's great to have these even just as links if you don't write out the post, so that when you want to invite somebody somewhere, you can just go and find the link, and it's not like, especially if like you have affiliate things that you do, like if you're an affiliate for Jeff Walker and you want somebody to go to the launch workshop, you don't have to keep going through Jeff Walker's portal and then you go over here and then you go over there. Like you can just pull out the link and put it into whatever you're doing. So it's nice to organize them that way. Okay, if nobody has questions, because we're running rapidly out of time, like 3 hours is flying by. I don't know about you, but it's flying by for me. We're going to hop on to the last part. So this is a part that I added. Jane had asked me to come up with something that was a signature feature for Selling on the Spot Marketplace attendees and people that sign up for this workshop. And so all of us, well, I'm assuming that all of us have been at an event, at least one event if we're here. And so we need to share an offer, and we need to share our audio business card. And this is just a little list for helping you to plan it, because not only do you need to share that in the group, but you you need to actually share it verbally at the event, but you need to share it in the chat, and you also need to share it in the group on Facebook. So I see a lot of people that either don't sell themselves enough when they're doing the offer. They're just so worried about asking for the offer. And I can understand that, like, nerves are very high when you're on there, especially when you're new to it. I totally get it. I was sweating bullets the first few times. But then they might even do a really good offer, but then when they put it in the chat, sometimes they just put like, use hashtag this, and they're not really explaining what the offer is. And sometimes you need to go back, like you hear somebody and then you want to go back and see what they offer because it's later in the event and you're like, you know what, I think I really will take them up on that offer. But you can't remember the details or the price or whatever. And it's very hard for people to say yes to something that they don't know how much it's going to cost or what's involved with it. So all of this helps you in those ways. So the audio business card, we've all gone over, and this card is a place for you to save that, because really you want to do the same audio business card once you've perfected it. I mean, in the beginning, you might be practicing it and not really sure exactly what you want to say, but once you've perfected it, you want to use the same audio business card every single time, just like what you want to use the same story every single time, because you want people to be able to repeat back to you what you do. And then they know that you're the expert, and then that's the know, like, and trust thing. So they understand what you do. So in this card, you can put that in. So it's not like you're constantly like, oh, what am I going to say? And then you can practice it. So after you do your audio business card, though, there's some key points that you want to have in that little 2-minute presentation that you get to do that set you apart. Because like I said, you know, other people are doing it. You want to get the sale from them, and these are what they need to hear. What makes you different? So what makes the product? I know that we have people that sell different types of nail polish on Selling on the Spot marketplace, or we have people who do different types of coaching, or they sell different types of skin products or different types of cleaning products, right? But they're all different. Okay, so what makes you or your product different from everybody else? You may have someone that, you know, they're both in the health and wellness sector, they're both in the social media sector, or whatever it is, but you do something completely different than them. So what is it that's different? What are you offering? So exactly what are you offering? And this is, I know Jane always says this, like, ask for a sale, tell them what you need to tell them exactly what you're offering. It's easy to get caught up in, I do this, I do that, I do this, and they can do, but you need to like be very precise in what are you offering? What is the offer? What's the name of the product? Like, what is it? Is it an app? Is it a physical product that I'm getting? Is it an e-magazine? Is it like a live session? Is it a recorded session? And what is the process or terms? So, is it that they're going to, like, I know there's some people who sell jewelry. So is the jewelry thing that like, I'm going to just buy this piece of jewelry, or is it that I'm going to go to a catalog and pick out the jewelry, or are we going to do a call and you're going to show me what jewelry is available, or whatever? You need to tell people what that is, like what it's going to look like, and how they're going to do it. Benefits of getting it from you. So what's the benefit of buying it from you? It could just be that, like, you know, you've used this product for 10 years, or that you are passionate about helping schools like do X, Y, and Z, or you're passionate about helping female entrepreneurs do X, Y, and Z. So like, what's the benefit of buying it from you as opposed to buying it from Walmart, buying it from, you know, 15 other people that are offering it or whatever? Like, what does that do? Because I know with networking a lot, there's certain things that I know a lot of people that do it, like Legal Shield. I know a lot of people in Legal Shield. I know a lot of people who are coaches. I know a lot of people who do something with podcasts, but they all do something differently. And they all have different things that they can offer in offering that product. So when I'm going to refer somebody, or I'm going to purchase something for myself, I go with the person I know can deliver what I need in that product. Does that make sense? And how can they get it, and how much does it cost? This is really important. Like, how can they get it would be the hashtag, but sometimes you have to say like, it'll be delivered to your inbox, or you'll join me on a live session, or something. Like, people want to know, how is this coming in the mail? Like, how am I getting it? But most importantly, how much does it cost? And I've done this, like, we all make mistakes sometimes, but when you don't tell somebody how much it costs, it's really hard for them to say yes, even if they want it, because it's like, is it $5? Is it $500? Like, is it one payment of 125? Is it 6 payments of 125? Like, that completely changes things, because even though we shouldn't, like I said, we sometimes think money is more of a barrier than it is. If it's something that is way out of your budget range, you know, you're really going to have to think about it, or, you know, like, you may not be able to swing it. There may not be a way that you can do it. So you need to know that. What hashtag are you using? Know that before you start, because then it's hard when you start stumbling. And like I said, we all make mistakes. Sometimes we forget to plan ahead of time. But if you have it planned and you can say it, then it's much easier than sometimes people are trying to figure out the hashtag and they kind of go back and forth. They're like, oh no, use this one. And now people are confused. They don't know which hashtag to use. And when people are confused, then they choose not to make any decision. So if you want more people to opt into your offer and know what hashtag you're going to do, and then ask for the sale, like Jane teaches. So what are you going to say to ask for that sale? Like, we all know we need to ask for it, but what are you actually going to say to ask for it? And then at the bottom here, I have a post checklist. So when you're putting this in the comments, or you're putting it in the group, these are the things that you should have in your post. And really this is what you should have in the post for everything that's on this board. But I think I notice this more when people are posting their offers than anything else. So a hook, you need something that's going to catch their attention and stop them from scrolling. Everybody's scrolling. What's something that's going to hook them? Value or content. So this is where you would explain, for instance, I say it takes 21 to 30 touch points in 2021. I need to find out what it is in 2022, but in 2021, it took 21 to 30 touch points to convert somebody even to a free offer. So you need to be showing up consistently and providing value that educates your audience. This way they will opt into what you're doing. Call to action. So this is, we talked about the call to action, which is basically what you just walk through. This is what I'm offering. This is how you get it. This is what it's going to do for you. Always have a call to action on every single post, other than like the ones like, drop a gift for this. Like you're not gonna have a call to action on that. You can maybe put it in the comments, but every other post that is about any kind of value, any kind of content, testimonials, whatever, put a call to action. Tell people how to get in touch with you, what you offer when they get in touch with you and what it's going to do for them when they get in touch with you. Your hashtag, a graphic or a video, emojis, they help to spice up your post. Make sure it's well spaced for easy reading. So all of these posts that you're writing, don't do a big block, because you know what? Like 90% of people that are on social media are looking at it on their phone, and you can't see it because I have a background, but let's just try. Okay, so we know that our phone though, here we go, has a very small screen. So the same information that's on your big laptop is now in here. And when you don't have spaces, it's like so compressed that it looks like this big wall of text. And again, people are just scrolling, and you know what they're going to do? They're going to just keep scrolling. So every 1 to 2 sentences have a break, like an actual space. If you can see how there's space in between here, an actual space in between, that makes it easy to read, because most people read by skimming too. Most people don't read every word because we're busy and we're bombarded by stuff. And the last thing is, make sure that your price is in there, like I said before. So you can go down this checklist and make sure that you have all of that. Now I'm just going to go through one last thing before we wrap up. So you have all these posts, right? Now it's like, it's great, Jennifer, I have all these posts. What do I do with them? And somebody said, well, won't people get tired of hearing my story if I just post that 12 days in a row? Okay, you're not going to do that. What these are, this is kind of like if you've ever ordered off like the Chinese lunch menu, where you'd pick like 2 from column A and 1 from column B and 1 from column C and 2 from column D. You're going to pull from this and mix and match. Okay, so for instance, testimonial or quote, you don't really want to do that more than once a week, right? All of these you could decide to do like once a week or once every other week. And you're going to build your content for the week, for the quarter, from what you pulled out of this. Now this board is based on 5 times per week for a 4-week month. Now, obviously some months have a little bit more, but this is Monday. If you did it Monday to Friday for 12 weeks, you have enough posts to put up for that. So mix it up. But what you can do is come up with a formula. Like think of like, how do I want to do this? Maybe every Tuesday is my quote graphic, and every Friday is a story about me, and every other Thursday is a teaching post. And for my clients, when I do this, I have an editorial calendar that says exactly what kind of post is going up every single day. And it doesn't look like it's regimented, but it is. Like if you go and look at the second Tuesday in February, it's going to be the same type of post as the second Tuesday in September, because it's a formula. But people on the outside aren't going to see that, aren't going to realize it's a formula, unless you have like Motivation Monday, right? Everybody knows Motivation Monday is going to be motivating. They might figure out your pattern, but they're not going to think that hard about it. So don't think like, oh, people are going to get bored every Tuesday. They see a quote graphic. It's not. And if people stop reacting to them, then you can change up your pattern. But this frees you in having to do that. So you can either come up with, on Monday I do this, on Tuesday I do that, on Wednesday I do that. And I generally recommend doing a 2-week rotation, okay? Because some of these posts you're not going to do every single week. Like invitation and lifestyle, you could switch off on those. Maybe first Tuesday is lifestyle, second Tuesday is invitation. But So you can do that where you just know what type of post you're pulling, and you just pull the next one on the list and move the next one to the bottom. So if you click on this, I'm going to show you how to do this. If you go to, where is it? Move. Okay, they moved it further down. If you go to move, then you can do this and move it to position, like let's say 10, if you had 9 in the list. And so then what it does is it moves it down, or you could just drag it. But if you have a long list, it's easier to do move. And then you just keep doing the one that's at the top of the list and move it down to the bottom and start over again. Another way you can do it is you can make a list. Like let's say this list is February, and this is your list. And then you take the cards, like you're like, well, I want to do this on February 1st. And you move, either drag the cards like this, or you use the move feature and just put them in that list. And then every day you just go through and pull your post out. But there's so many different ways you can do this. I would say you can archive things and bring them back. I don't recommend archiving them because all of these posts are ones that can be used over and over again. So if you just want to, you're like, if it's too confusing, I have too many of these, I want to know what I'm done with, you can make a list that is finished or posted or something like that and just move them over there. And then when you want, you can move them back. But that's what I love about Trello, that it is just so versatile in that way. So there's something in the chat. Look at that. Okay, so does anybody have any last minute, we're almost out of time, last minute questions or anything that they'd like to share?
Yes, please unmute. We'd love your questions, your feedback. Shout outs to Jennifer's training.
Yes, if you want to shout this out on
I will give her a shout out because I have had Trello. Let's see, when did I first meet you, Jennifer?
Probably a year and a half ago or so.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
We got Trello set up, and then he said, well, I'm going to be doing a training. Well, I couldn't make the training, so I'm supposed to be watching the replay. I have the replay. This has been so much better because if I'm not in the room, I don't get a lot of stuff done.
Yes. No.
So I appreciate this so much.
Oh, you are welcome. Thank you.
Awesome. Anybody else? Anything you want to share or ask?
Sure. I'll just say thank you. That was lovely. And I have all the tools I need to go back and talk to my partner to figure out exactly what we're going to say in each of those areas. So this is fantastic. So just thank you so much. That was great.
Oh, you are welcome. So if you have enjoyed this training and you are looking to really up-level your social media, now you have the plan, but now you need to know what to do next. It's not just about knowing what to post, but it's how to post it and what to do with it when you get there. I have a 2-workshop series coming up in February. It will be February 2nd and February 16th. At 9 a.m. Central, that is on building the perfect post. So this is, I call it the anatomy of the post, but some people are like, that's kind of a turn up. But basically going through that checklist and how do you do each one of those pieces? Each one of those pieces needs to be in every single post for you to get that traffic and to be converting people. But there is a science and an art to it. And so I'm going to go through and help you build the exact perfect post so you can learn how to do it for yourself. So when you're building these posts, you get even more attraction out of it because it's built the right way. And the second one is increasing sales and leads on LinkedIn. How you show up on LinkedIn changes everything. Only 2 years before the pandemic started, only 1% of the people on LinkedIn were actually sharing content. That went up 40%. But when you think about it, the amount of people on LinkedIn also went up 60%. So still, there are very few people sharing content and using that platform to its greatest ability. You don't need Navigator. You don't need Premium. You just need to know how to use it the right way. So this workshop will show you how to easily and affordably and in not as much time as you think it would take, increase your sales and leads on LinkedIn so that they're organically coming in. As a special bonus, I'm throwing in a quick training on using event pages to boost business and fill your events. Event pages are amazingly powerful because people can see them easily and the platform promote them much more than anything else that you do. So stop paying for ads and use event pages. So all of that is normally $247, but I'm offering it to Selling on the Spot Marketplace attendees for $152 US. And the 2 trainings are live and will be recorded. You will get the recording with them. The bonus is already pre-recorded. So who wants to join me for that session and take everything that you learned today and up level it to the next level, because now you're going to know exactly how to use it to get more leads and to get more engagement. Please put #workshop in the comments and I will follow up with you afterwards. Thank you.
Wonderful. Please give her a round of applause. And Jennifer, can you restate the days and times of the workshop, please?
Okay, yes. So it is February 2nd, February 16th. Those are 2 different workshops at 9 a.m. Central. It will be, I'm doing it live, but it will be recorded. And the bonus is already pre-recorded. You'll get that with the recordings of the workshop.
And are the workshops 1 hour or longer?
Oh, I'm sorry. They're basically 1 hour. I
1
mean,
hour.
yeah, they might go over a little bit, but the plan is 1 hour.
Sure. For the sake of us putting in our schedules. So thank you for that.
Yes.
Any other quick questions, especially in regards to the workshops? We'd like to get you registered and taking the next step after what we just put together.
Okay. Well, thank
No
you
questions?
so much.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for attending. I know that you put it into use already, which is phenomenal. And I'll be reaching out to you as well. We certainly ask for shout outs and testimonials. So guess what? I'm going to follow up with you on that. So one more time, please either give hearts or give applause to Jennifer. Jennifer, thank you so much for today's presentation. I was so thrilled that we did it over a 3 hour. We wanted to make sure that we had enough time, that we weren't racing through it, and that you have a lot. Yeah, you still feel like it was raced through, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, these are the kinds of things that could easily be 4 or 5, 6 hours, right? And that have that much more. But regardless, this was brilliant. We all now know that much more about how to use Trello and how to move forward, and that we can replicate this into the next quarter, but that it makes sense for us to move forward with you as well and move to your workshop.
Thank you.
So thank you, everybody, again. Thank you, Jennifer. And thank you, all of you watching the replay. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you at another amazing Selling on the Spot event. Take care.
Bye.